Public. Okay, I think we are live, at least on Periscope and YouTube. Let's see, are we live there on YouTube? Hold on.
I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, we are now.
Okay. We will wait for folks to trickle on in to the YouTube. If you could send a text, let people know we're live. Smash the like
Hey, everyone.
button. Let us know if you could hear us. Let us know if you could see us on Monday, November 16th, 2020, right here in the United Corporations of America. We got, looks like almost 200 people watching already, so important. We need as many people to hear this as possible. Lena, super chat, getting us started. Thank you so much,
Hi,
Lena.
Lana.
Lana.
Lana Del hates the clock.
Thank you.
I love that username. Very creative.
Let me retweet that we're live. Quite the show today, with an important announcement, I would say. Okay. Should we wait, Jen, till you send the text?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to do the push.
Lana received her Status Coup mug. Wow.
Yay, that's exciting.
Put something strong in there tonight for us. Nazil, $5. Can see you. Jacqueline de Blue was wondering where you've been. Where have we been? We've been going live almost every day. John was in DC for us over the weekend, doing great coverage. Important announcement. Jordan won. I wish. What did I win? After what you hear today, I have not won. Oh, you got the text.
Yep, text
all right.
us out, guys.
All right,
If
so
you're not
let's
on the text list, join text.
Yes, join our text list. 276 people watching. Smash the like button right under the video. More people that get the like button. More people that press like, the more people that will see the live stream. Unfortunately, what we're going to be talking about today, we'll probably have to talk about for a while, because not everybody affected might be watching right now. But we'll start with in October, for those Status Coup viewers who have been with us for a while, but for those of you who are new, because we're finally growing at a decent pace. I think we've gone up like 7,000 subscribers in the last 2-3 weeks. So we're at past 97,000 subscribers, thankfully, on our way to 100,000. So definitely subscribe if you're new. For those of you who remember, no, the announcement's not me having a baby. For those of you who remember, in October of 2019, in April of this year, Jen and I broke a pretty massive story related to the Flint water crisis and the cover-up. And the nuts and bolts of this story, we did it for Vice News, was that former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder was warned before the water was switched in Flint, a year before he was warned that there would be health dangers if Flint was used as a drinking water source. The Flint River was used as a drinking water source. We also uncovered evidence that he first learned of the deadly Legionella outbreak in Flint in October 2014, 6 months after the water was switched, and 16 months before he told Congress he became aware. Why is that important? Because Legionella is a deadly waterborne illness, and it killed, the official number is low, but the unofficial number, probably hundreds of people in Flint died as a result of Legionella, which the governor, we learned, basically hid from the public. His administration, him, found out about it earlier in October 2014, a few weeks before he was up for re-election as a governor, and they shut down the information from going public. Although the story for Vice, we published it in April of this year, the time period that we actually got the information, Jen, was October 2019. So this story took months to get out to the public.
A lot of work.
But in October 2019, we were in Flint, and not going to go into full details, but we gathered information in October of 2019 through sources and other forms of reporting. During that time, we did not publicize that we were in Flint. We didn't want the people we were looking into to know that we were looking into them. We just, you could never be too careful while investigating. Hold on. You could never. Hold on. Echo should be gone. You could never be too careful while investigating on a really, really, frankly, criminal story. So we did not publicize that we were in Flint. Only the sources that we were meeting with knew that we were in Flint. And we didn't go live from Flint. We were basically incognito in Flint for a couple, I'd say at least a week. So what started to happen, I would say around April or May, is we started to see, we started losing members, paid members. As you know, Status Coup's core business model is membership. So we started to lose members around, I'd say, April. It's normal to lose members on a daily basis. The normal, usually maybe you lose 2 or 3 sometimes a day. Just normal people canceling, credit cards being declined, this and that. But we started noticing in April, May, June, we started rapidly losing members. And we thought, all right, well, we're getting emails from viewers that I'm losing my job because of coronavirus, my hours are getting cut, all that. So we figured, that's why we were losing so many members, because of coronavirus. But then I would say, Jen, what do you think? In recent weeks, we noticed even more losses. We were losing 20, 30 a day, to the point where, last week I went on a walk. It was at our membership amount, our paid membership was at a certain amount. I came back 2 hours later. I think we were down 40 in 2 hours. So through the sheer power of the Coup community, Status Coup's audience, web developers reached out to us because we had been saying, we're kind of freaked out. We're basically hemorrhaging paid members. And although I know a lot of the audience don't like it, that we ask you to sign up as a member, we're a business and we have to make money. And our paid membership, Jen and I have worked 7 days a week for the most part for almost 3 years to grow that. We were almost at 2,000. So we were freaking out because we're losing 20, 30 members a day. And if we keep losing 20, 30 members a day, we're going under. There's no other way to say it. So, Jen, why don't you pick it up from there? Audience members reached out to us, and who were the audience members, and what has been going on since then?
Audience members, sorry, I don't follow.
The tech people that we're working with.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I don't. Now I think of them as, the tech guy, the tech company. So yeah, like Jordan said, we'd been noticing this strange decline that we had chalked up to COVID, but it had become apparent that when you take a walk and check, your membership stats in a membership that people want to be in, because it's Status Coup is not just, you don't just get perks. You guys who are members, you want to help build Status Coup, and you guys have a role in helping us get in field and covering these stories. So it's not a membership that people typically want to leave, like unless there's financial hardship or something like that. So like when you go on a walk like Jordan did and you check before and you check after and there's over a dozen members leaving, I think it was like 20 or something at that
No,
time, there's
it was
something
actually
wrong.
like 30.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's a crazy number. Like clearly there's something wrong. So we started even more so, we started to panic. And especially when we looked at the numbers from just a few months ago. Like we were on our way to 2,000 members, which is no small deal for a startup like us. And it just had gotten we'll talk more about how many we've lost. It's just like heart wrenching. It's horrible. Um, so we talked about it on air, and we had someone who was a viewer, but who also in Florida, in Vero Beach, Anthony Damasco. So if you're in need of tech help, definitely look him up. He's been amazing. So he reached out to us, and he was basically like, "Look, like we've worked a lot with this membership um, plugin that you use. Let me help you." So they've been fantastic. We've had multiple calls and um, eh, just he's done a lot of work, a lot of back end work to figure out what was wrong. And embarrassingly enough, we did not have tech people on our site. You guys have all seen our site. Our site is not good. It's clearly not built well. It's not visually appealing. We don't update it because of those factors. We don't have the funds, have not had the funds to like beef it up to where it should be. So we haven't had the tech people on the back end either. Well, it so turns out that as soon as Anthony started looking at the back end of our site, like it was throwing PHP errors like crazy. So like I'm not techie at all. I know enough just to be dangerous and to like plug like leaks until the plumber comes, but that's it. So yeah, it was throwing errors like crazy. He was digging more and more. And then I got on the phone with him, and he was actually like, this is how dedicated he's been. He was actually in the grocery store. He was about to get his very young children. Like he was running all around. He was like, I've got to tell you this. You guys have been hacked. And he was like, obviously, sites get hacked all the time. It's often random. There are people who just like look for vulnerabilities, especially in sites based on WordPress, because there are so many common themes, so many common plugins. Like it's easy for these guys to just download the code and figure out like ways to exploit these things. He's like, that's not what's happening here. He said that the hacking was intentional, purposeful, and malicious. So this is scary. And then he told us that it when it happened. So we were on HostGator, which apparently I had no idea. Like HostGator used to be the gold standard, but apparently it was. Well, that's what I'm about to explain. This is relevant though. Um, so we were on HostGator, so we couldn't. He doesn't have like the logs and the things he needs. It so happens that HostGator is no longer a good hosting company. They were bought out by this larger company, which is run like in a shadow under Amazon, which is crazy and I don't like. But because of the fact that they don't keep logs in the way that they should, we don't have much information about this hack, who possibly did it, all of that stuff. The only thing that we do know is it happened on October 19th, 2019. What were we doing in October of 2019? We were secretly, like, we did not even tell you guys, we didn't tell anyone. Um, we were in Flint gathering information that we were not supposed to have that directly implicates the former governor of Michigan, Rick Snyder. We were finding information about his henchmen, like literal out of a movie, like mob guy, his right hand man, Rich Baird. We were digging all around. We were kicking up the dirt. Like we were doing so as carefully and as quietly as we could while still getting what we needed. But it was scary. Like we were half jokingly looking for bombs under the cars before we would drive, but only half jokingly. Like it was scary. And even though we didn't announce it, these people have ways of knowing everything that's happening. So obviously, like I can't say I can't say anything for sure. I don't know, but that is what we were doing. This was a purposeful and malicious hacking that is destroying, literally destroying our business. Um, and we were doing some hardcore investigative journalism, the type that isn't done in this country anymore, and doing this journalism against extremely powerful figures. And this is what we have to show for it. So there's a lot here. We are no, by no means do we have all of the information we need right now. I am not going to get into the measures that are being taken right now, but we are definitely in good hands. Again, Anthony Damasco in Vero Beach, Florida, who is open for hire for web tasks and web design and all that. Marketing, they do everything. So we definitely are combing through everything, trying to figure out, trying to stop the bleeding, trying to get back lost members, trying to figure out every single thing that went wrong, every single thing that could possibly go wrong in the future, and just doing everything we can to literally save the business at this point. We have like plan A, B, and C, so it is not like dire. Like we're not folding and just saying like, oh, status quo's done. We wouldn't do that. So we have like confidence that this is going to be okay, but we are set back. We are stressed beyond belief about this. We have received many, many emails because we've done call outs where people have said, I was a member and I checked, like you said, and I'm no longer a member. I've done some digging and like plugging in people's email addresses that I know were members, and they're nowhere to be found. Um, so it's a lot. It's a lot to handle and to deal with. And I know it's a lot for like us to try to explain. But this, we wanted to kind of be upfront and tell you what's happening, because you guys do keep us going. So,
So there's two or three different components to this. So I want to start with the first component, which I think is very important. I don't want to relitigate 3 years ago, but as you guys know, in about November 2017, I was let go from the Young Turks. There was a lot of smears put out there about me. The reason that I say that is because Jen and I have long suspected, with some supporting evidence, that part of a lot of the things that went on and happened in the fall of 2017 related to me, incidentally, all happened when I was about to break a very, very big story on the Flint water crisis and the Flint
yeah.
water cover-up. It was right before that story. I was already actively emailing and reaching out to very powerful people to get comment on the story I was working on at that point for the Young Turks. And as such, those people knew, oh, this guy has information that could possibly lead to jail time. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of stuff put out there about me that was not true. Why do I bring that up? Again, we never had firm evidence that was essentially a coordinated takedown, but we had some suspicion that it was tied. The things that happened, part of it was tied to the story I was about to break for Flint. This was when I was at the Young Turks, not Status Coup.
I
Then
100% sorry, before you move on, like I 100%, probably even more than Jordan, think that that's what happened. Like I have a lot of evidence. I dug into this very deeply. I definitely think that's what happened.
So, and Jen, can you just keep note of the super chats? We got two so far that are for 100. So I want.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm saving them.
So the reason I bring that up from 3 years ago and smash that like button is, again, October 2019. We're in Flint. Jen and I. We didn't publicize it. Um, we were meeting with sources. I'm not going to go into who the sources were, but needless to say, we were there. Really, really, um, really, really confidential documents from the Flint water criminal investigation were leaked to us. We didn't hack it. We didn't do anything like that, but they were leaked to us. And when Anthony, the viewer, who is a web developer, reached out to us, he said to us, I've seen a lot of website hacks that, there's just hackers on the internet and websites randomly get hacked. I have not seen something like this, which seems very intentional and malicious. I mean, I don't know the tech jargon, but there was well over 100 malware and viruses in the back end of our website. And that's not a random hack, that it was intentional. And the origin of it was October 2019 when Jen and I were digging in Flint. So, for legal reasons, we want to be clear, we don't have firm evidence that it was Governor Snyder or his people or anyone, that we would be investigating for the Flint water crisis. But we were in Flint in October 2019, and a web developer said, not 90%, 110%. We were hacked. We were maliciously hacked. It's intentional. Our website was specifically targeted, and there was well over 100, I don't know the term, Jen, malware or viruses within our system. And as a result, I want to show you the ugly numbers. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I keep forgetting to turn back on the audio. The number on the left. Hold on. Sorry. The number on the left is where we were at in March. We decided let's go back and let's look at the last primary we covered. This was before coronavirus was even in the news, because we had grown so many paid members from our campaign coverage. So we were on the road. I was in Iowa. I was in New Hampshire, South Carolina. Jen was in Nevada. Jen was in Michigan. I was in California. We grew, I think, like 600 paid members as a result of our campaign coverage. So the last primary we covered was in Michigan, and that's the number on the left that we were at, 1,862. That on the right is the number we're at now. And I also want to show you, by the way, this is from March to now. But I want to show you the acceleration that has happened, like, recently. The acceleration, this number here, 1,686, that's what we were at when we were in Philadelphia a week ago. Like a week and a half ago, we were at 1,686. So in a little over a week, but when we were there for the election and the chaos of counting the votes and the Trump voters, we were almost at 1,700 members. Today, we're at 1,523 members. You don't lose 150 members in a week. That just doesn't happen. I mean, yeah, if there was a big scandal with Status Coup, maybe people would leave. We've lost 150 members literally in a week and a half. And again, this is how many members we've lost since March. So what we're still working very hard. Well, when I say we, really Anthony is working to figure out what caused what. Did the hack of our website and the viruses that were put in to our website, is that causing, because we do have evidence that members have been canceled against their will. When I say canceled, I mean their payments didn't go through, or things like that. Obviously we have lost members just from basic people canceling, but not 450 members. That we have not lost 450 members from coronavirus. The web developer we're using, Anthony, and just us looking ourselves are showing there's a lot of members that are showing up as inactive even though they did not cancel. So we believe that the hack has basically so many viruses and malware were put in to our system that our website is just a disaster. And specifically, I don't know if you want to go into details about this, Jen. You could either become a member through PayPal, you could pay through PayPal, or Stripe. It seems like something happened that really affected mostly people that paid via Stripe. To be clear, and then I want Jen to explain it, your financial information has not gone anywhere. We were assured that by the web developer. So your credit card payment, your private information was not stolen or anything like that. But we do have evidence that the hack has led to, we don't know exactly because we're literally digging into this every day, starting to dig into it, and it's literally on an individual member case. You have to look at each member. But we have reason to think the virus has caused a lot of these memberships to be canceled. Jen, if you want to take it from there.
Yeah, so to clarify about what the hacker did. So part of it would be what seems pretty obvious is that part of it is this like membership attack. Others of it I think are diversions, like the typical stuff that like a jerky hacker would do. But this is what seems to be like the crux of the plan, because this destroys the business. So this is what Anthony is being like a firefighter, like putting this crazy fire out. As far as what is happening, we don't know exactly. The theory is that Stripe, so Jordan mentioned, like we have options to subscribe via PayPal or options to subscribe via Stripe. Stripe in particular seems to have a history of being more finicky about like letting subscriptions go through or like taking payments. And what we learned is, so I've mentioned we have MemberPress, that's what we run it through. So MemberPress does the work of how, it makes it possible for the user to sign up. It brings that payment gateway in, which is what PayPal is, which is what Stripe is. It does not, our website does not store anyone's financial information at all. What it does is it sends the user over. That's why you have like that Stripe pop up or whatever. That's why you're sent to the PayPal website. So it seems like whatever this hacker did is making that connection where it would send that user over to Stripe was made faulty. And in like that person's recurring billing, it would like stop it from working. And so that was canceling people without their knowledge or whatever. And so one of the another of the many issues here is that because we were on what I now know is the horrible HostGator, We had I think over a million emails sent from our HostGator server. Many of those, certainly not all, were to do with member press. And so it is very likely that when someone's subscription didn't go through, like whatever, was canceled, whatever, people weren't alerted to this. So that's why we have people saying like, oh, I had no idea, like I didn't hear about this. So there are multiple problems just all combining into one. And it's a total mess. Like I don't even I don't even know what to think at this point. It's really disturbing. Like my brain is mush because I've been staring at various like Stripe and PayPal screens all day and like entering in things and staring at spreadsheets and stuff and just trying to crack the code. I have no idea. I'm no further to the truth or no closer to the truth. So yeah, I don't know. It does seem to affect Stripe users more. But again, I was glad that Jordan addressed the fact that your financial information is safe because our website has nothing to do with that. So just to be clear, PayPal has your financial information or Stripe has your financial information, not us. Also, Paul in the chat asked if your membership funds are now being diverted somewhere else due to this hacking. No, absolutely not. Because when you created a subscription on our website, it creates this connection between Stripe and our website only. And there's a token, so they talk to each other. And only our site and your one specific subscription can talk to each other. And so it simply either breaks the connection and doesn't allow that subscription to go through, or it lets it go through and it works as it's supposed to. So no, this is not an issue of like if your payment is still going through, is it like being diverted to like a Nigerian prince? No, it's not. Or other people who I won't try to point any fingers at who might have done this, but no. So just to make that very clear, you guys are safe. If you are a member, you are safe. There's nothing to worry about. There is no reason for you to cancel. Now, I would suggest if you are using Stripe for your monthly payments, I definitely do suggest switching to PayPal because we still like Stripe is still like a question mark. I don't know. I've used Stripe for a long time. Like Stripe seems great, but whatever's happening, it does seem Stripe related, and it just for now I'm worried.
So KP, appreciate your honesty, but now you got to at least reassure your members that their card details will be safe. So let me be clear here. First of all, when you start a company with no money, there's certain areas that you basically have no choice but to, I guess, not focus on. And we didn't focus on making a great website because we didn't have the money to make a great website. We also didn't have the money to have like a web developer on retainer. You know, every major media company has a tech team. We didn't have the money for a tech anything. So the first thing is, number one, like I said, this isn't us telling you that your financial information are fine. This is the web person with the expertise assuring us to assure you they have looked at it and the financial information is 100% secure. So that you shouldn't worry about. Your financial information is secure.
And in fact, that is the direct purpose of PayPal and Stripe. That's their selling point, is that they have your financial information, the vendor does not. Right. That is why people use them.
So I want to just start to make this go quicker because we do have stories to get to. So
we have a bunch of super chats. Yes. And we do want to talk a little bit about the GoFundMe and also what you guys can do. And Jordan, I sent you a screenshot.
Yes. It's already in. So
okay.
Here's the thing. This is not going to be fixed today, and it's not going to be fixed tomorrow. We have Anthony and his team, who we are not going forward. We are going to have Anthony on retainer. So we will have I don't want to say full-time, but we will have a tech and web team covering us, not only now, but when we get out of this fire and out of this crisis, routinely monitoring our site for hacks or for anything. So going forward, we're just going to have to make more money because we need full-time tech. Clearly, we need full-time tech. This first hack was in October of 2019. We're just finding out about it a year later. So obviously, if we were able to afford, a web team on retainer, we could have found out about this much earlier. So going forward, to assure you, we will have experts, because Jen and I do not know tech. Jen knows it better than I, but so that's number one. Number two, as a homework assignment, I'm not suggesting, I'm directly asking you. Every single person needs to go and check, if you're a member, needs to go and make sure your membership is active. If you didn't cancel it. If you canceled your membership, then of course, we'd love to have you back at some point, but these are for people that did not cancel your membership and
Come back.
are still might think, yeah, I'm a member. Go check it. And how you do that, let me show you is go to statuscoup.com. statuscoup.com/account. And these are Hold on. I switched. So when I switched, they can't hear you. So
why?
Okay. It's back on you and I now. So I have the screenshot that you sent me. Should I not be showing that?
Oh, well, I think for you, show them your screen and then show them where to find that new subscriptions link. And I'll just tell you.
Yeah, but for me,
where.
it doesn't work because I'm not a member. I see what you're talking about.
No.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, so before this.
So, one second, folks. And don't worry, because we have plenty to talk about beyond this. So if you go to statuscoup.com and you go hover on Become a Member right there. Let me make sure. Yeah, Become a Member. We added a tab at the bottom for subscriptions. So you just click on subscriptions. For me, it says you have no active subscriptions because, I'm not a member. I'm one of the coup. But for you, that's where you would go. Become a member, click on subscriptions. And the sample is, here we go. So under that, you should have a list. If you, let's say you're a coup de champion or a status slayer, under active, if you're active, it will be yes with the color green. If you're not active, it will be no. And there's a lot of people, we believe, that have been made inactive, not because they canceled, but because this virus fucked up our website to the point that mostly Stripe payments were not going through. But you would get no alert to the fact that you're no longer active. Right now I'm echoing? I don't think so. Yeah, you have to the right, if you're inactive, there should be a tab that says resubscribe. And Jen, you could tell them when they click on that tab for resubscribe. I assume it's pretty simple from there.
Yeah, it's simple. It'll take you back to set up that payment again, which I'll reiterate is we do not handle the card information, none of that. It'll take you to Stripe or PayPal, and you can set everything up again. There may be a case. There are certain strange cases. I don't understand why yet. There may be some cases where if you see where that arrow is that was pointing to where it said resubscribe, there are certain cases where it'll say things like member, use, cancel, like a bunch of things, like 4 or 5 different things. If you have one of those weird screens, simply click cancel, refresh. You'll then have a resubscribe button or option there.
So, bottom line, this might be the type of thing that we are learning as we go. What we're telling you today, we might get new information and have further instruction. But today, if you remember, again, go to statuscoup.com,
Like I showed you, hold on.
StatusCou.com. You hover over Become a Member. You'll see the subscriptions right there. Click on subscriptions, and it should be fairly straightforward from there. Unfortunately, we're probably going to, there's probably going to be some troubleshooting. There will be some
troubleshooting involved. So the best thing we could tell you is, look, and if it says you're inactive and you try to resubscribe and for whatever reason it doesn't go through, email us, info@statuscoup.com. We're probably going to have quite a lot of emails to sort through, so we'll try to get back in touch with you. But the bottom line is, for the future of Status Coup, and I'm not being dramatic when I say, for us to survive, we need to fix this, and we need to get a healthy amount of these members back that were wrongly made inactive. So definitely, if you have any questions, you could email us, info@statuscoup.com. We're going to be talking with our web developer again tomorrow to see, he's monitoring things and trying to figure out certain things. And we'll go from there. Anything else that I missed, Jen?
We have another question from Silence is Violence Go Vegan saying, is it safe now to subscribe? Yes, it is. It is safe now to subscribe. The only risk is to us in that we are still losing members and we don't know why. Hopefully that will be fixed soon. Now that we have some other measures in place, we're able to more actively, or our, this new team on it, Anthony Damasco's team, they're actively monitoring things, figuring more things out, able to more easily put this puzzle together. So hopefully we can stop the bleeding, but it is safe for you to subscribe. It would definitely be helpful if all of you who are members double check, just like we said, but I just want to reemphasize it. It's super helpful to us. Even if you think your account is totally fine, like even if you're like, oh, I don't feel like checking, if you can take a minute, like it would really, really help if you just go check statuscoup.com and then just hover over the member, drop down and you click on subscriptions, and then you'll see that box that Jordan went over.
And just so you know, I already just saw, I think it was Lana said, oh my God, I'm inactive. So Lana did what, Lana just did what we told her to do, and she thought she was a member, but it's showing up as inactive. So this is what we're talking about. Wow. She's a perfect example. We probably have, again, I'll show you the graph one more time.
That's how many members we lost from that's how many members we lost from April. So we don't know how many are actually people who knowingly canceled versus who were improperly basically purged. So please definitely look, because we need to gain back a lot of those members in order for our financial health.
James, the site is secure. We have SSL. We have all of, Anthony has cleaned out all of the malware. He's put up a lot of protections. Like it's in very good hands. The site is secure. There is no risk to you.
And to answer this important question, and then we're going to move on, Chester, the question now becomes, do you want to gather evidence to find out who hacked you and then to sue them? Sounds like Snyder was behind this. I can't get into the technical aspect of it, but it's not going to be easy to find out who hacked us, only because our host for the website was HostGator, whereas now we've been moved to Anthony's hosting. Anthony, the web developer we're using, what is it, Liquid something? So if we were on Anthony's hosting site, it would be easier to identify not just what the virus was, but where it originated. Beyond that, I'm not going to go into details, but needless to say, we are investigating how we could find out the origins of the hack.
So Jordan, I was about to share our GoFundMe because, you know, knowing that we've lost hundreds and hundreds of members, it's a real deal that we need in order to keep going. We need to raise funds right now because it's hit our bottom line like crazy. But first, why don't you take the members over and show them your screen as you check the GoFundMe? Because I think you'll be quite pleased at what you see.
Let's see.
So we just got a $339 anonymous donation. Thank you to Anonymous. That is incredibly generous, Anonymous. We got a couple others for $10, $5, $10. So thank you to Anonymous. Listen, I'm just gonna be 100% straight up. And I criticize other outlets that send you fundraising emails every day and all this. We've lost 400 members since April, and there's a good chance 200 to 300 of them were improperly made inactive. We could try our best to reach out to all the ones that we think didn't intentionally cancel. There's no guarantee we're going to get those members back that were wrongly made inactive. So this is, for a small business, a startup, this is an extremely damaging financial hit for us. And I don't want to be dramatic, but if we don't get a healthy number of those members back, we're not in good position to maintain, because we have expenses. Jenna's children. I need to make some money. Colin, our travel budget, and frankly, from the caseload now, I'm telling you right now, we're not traveling right now. It's just not safe to travel with cases so high, and as a result, when we can't travel, it limits our ability to grow. So I'm really asking you, we know so many of you have already donated. Some people have donated like 40, 50, 60 times. So for those of you who can, we're not asking you like for a specific trip. We're asking you for the survival of Status Coup. It's that serious to donate. We need to raise money to, there's a various different scenarios here. Number one, let's say we're still figuring it out how many were wrongly made inactive and canceled, but let's say 250 to 300 were wrongly made inactive. There's no guarantee we're getting all those back. So that's thousands of dollars of revenue gone. That's how serious this is. So in the short term, if we could raise a good amount of money just to help us offset that while we figure this out, because again, this is something where we have an Excel sheet. We have to identify which members were made inactive and when, reach out to them. You know how it goes. Sometimes you go to spam, or sometimes it takes a while for people to respond. If we get people to sign back up, it ain't happening in a week. This could be a process for us for a month, for 2 months. And with thousands of dollars in revenue that we had gone, it's a real problem. So anything you could do would really make a difference. Obviously, big amounts like $339 is a breath of fresh air, and thank you to whoever that was. But even if you could only do $5, know that something happened that was targeted towards us. We now have a professional web developer safeguarding us, so it's not going to happen again. With startups, you live and you learn. And, unfortunately, like we said in the beginning, we just didn't have the money for a state-of-the-art website or state-of-the-art tech team to maintain the website and make sure it was secure. We thought it was secure because it was PayPal and Stripe, but unfortunately we got hacked.
Just to reassure everyone, our site has been secure. It's just the fact that it was able to be hacked maliciously like this is scary. Thankfully, all your stuff is safe as members. It just really screwed up our business and got rid of a lot of you that I don't think wanted to go.
So before we move on, real quick, one more time, go to statuscoup.com, right at members content, hover over members content. You'll see a tab for subscriptions. Click on subscriptions, and it'll tell you if your subscription, subscription means membership, is active. If it's active, no problem. You're good. If it's not active and you didn't cancel it, there should be a tab for resubscribe. Click on that resubscribe. If for some reason that doesn't work, email us. We're going to have plenty of people emailing us. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can. But the bottom, and to answer you, we are, right now we got to put out the fire, but we are looking into a way that we could figure out where the hack came from. We do have our suspicions. We don't have proof yet, so we will stay with that. I also, before we move on to the topic, we got some amazing super chats.
Amazing, so great. Okay, I'll start from the top here. Mitch Osborne, $99.99 in the super chat. Incredible. Sounds like your members were being purged like votes for Bernie in the primary. Keep up the great work, fam. Hey, not too far off, that's for sure. Stephen Prefontaine, $4.99 in the super chat. I'm a member and still a member, and here's some extra. Thank you, Steve. That means a lot. Absolutely. M Air, $100 in the super chat. Wow. For some of the last few journalists left. Yes, we really appreciate your generosity, and it's very, very true. There are few journalists left who do actual investigative and in-field work. I like this username. $99.99 in the super chat. Thank you so much. Saying, keep up the good work, keep your heads up, and never stop, with a smiley face. Things will be okay. Thank you. And that really does help because, as hardcore journalists as we are, like stuff like this, it really throws you. Like, we're human, and it's scary when you see something that you've worked so hard to build just start disintegrating and you have no idea what's going on. So we do feel like we're in good hands with Anthony and his team, but it's certainly nerve-wracking. None of your business with $5 in the super chat. You, like every other independent, are being deplatformed, like Corbett, etc. Move quickly. We always have that in the back of our minds. Like, we have no doubt that someday YouTube will boot us or something will happen. Who knows? So, like, the landscape of online, it looks totally different now than it did 5 years ago. Like, TikTok didn't exist, whatever. Like, and forget 10 years ago. It's a whole new universe. So that's why we have our membership site. That's why we're building a text list. That's why we're building an email list. We want our business to be a real business. Like, our business is not YouTube. That is a tool. Twitter is a tool. Facebook is not even really a tool now. Like, it's hardly usable. Everything we do is a means to an end, and that's the mindset we've gone into. So definitely agree for sure with that. Paul M, I already adjust that. Alex E, $20 in the super chat. Outsource your tech stack. Use Wix for a nice looking website and Patreon to handle subscriptions. So we are outsourcing our tech. We have learned a major lesson. It's part of the reason we're going to need to fundraise. It's going to be quite a lot of money to redo our website. We're going to have a retainer to keep tech support on hand. We're going to make much smarter decisions and not try to handle such an important job ourselves, especially since we do adversarial journalism. It is risky. We need to be much smarter about this. There will continue to be people who try to take this work down. Baruch Ibn, $19.99. Thank you. Sir Bikes a Lot Day. That's cute. $2 in the super chat. Do you have a $1 or $2 Patreon? I can't afford $5. We used to. We've been discussing having a lower tier there, so we're certainly open to it. I'll try to, if we, once we make that call, I'll try to remember to let you know. Jacqueline DeBlue. Oh my goodness, Jacqueline. I say this every time, but it's true. Like, you're a literal angel. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. You're incredible. Jacqueline saying, all very arcane to me, but what I do understand is that you don't deserve it. Here's something to go towards tech fees and whatnot. Oh, that's really sweet and really appreciated and really needed. And Kitty and I are still inactive, so I will try to resubscribe. Love from foggy London town. Not really, but I'm listening to Ella Lily. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's so crazy. I think you said the other day that like you and one cat were active and like two aren't or something like that. That's crazy. Oh no, you are. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's a mess, a clear mess. And it really, really
And
not
Jen,
good.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to point out to
Mhm.
the audience that since we gave the instruction for people to go in and look at their memberships to make sure it's not inactive, we've gone up 3 members. So I don't know if
Nice.
those are
Oh,
I don't know if those are
wow.
new people signing up or these are
Yeah.
people that just did what we advised, saying to
Mhm.
see if their memberships were still active. They found out it was inactive, even though they didn't cancel, and they pressed
Yeah.
resubscribe, but we just went up 3 members. So fingers
Wow.
crossed that the more people, we're gonna have to. By the way, we're gonna have to be reminding people every day because not all members are watching today. So, but so far, since we gave this instruction, we've 3 new people have signed up. So I'm hoping that those 3 new people were just saw that they were made inactive against that they didn't cancel and they're made themselves. They saw they were inactive and just resubscribed. So that's good news.
That is good news. Definitely good news. I saw some more GoFundMe's coming in, and then we'll get to some important stories that we have for today. I'm just copying and pasting these in here.
Holy
Oh
cow!
boy, do
It's
we have
raining in the GoFundMe.
I love it. We have a nuts, absolutely nuts story for you. Jordan, he wrote earlier today, he's like, you won't believe what these people are saying on CNN right now. It's absurd. And
Apparently, it's
you
now
know,
apparently it's
my
now
expect
dangerous. It's now more dangerous to pull troops out of the Middle East than to keep them there.
yeah, it's it's kind of crazy. Yeah, you guys will see it, but it's actually more absurd than I even expected. And just such blatant if you're gonna have propaganda on mainstream media, like at least put some more thought into it. Like put it like wrap it in a pretty package or something. Don't just be so blatant about it. Oh my goodness, all these super chats. Oh, also, guys, if you haven't yet, smash the like button because that gets YouTube to show this stream to more people. You can also share this stream on your social media. Like people will want to know what is happening to Status Coup. There's a lot of this worry around the independent media sphere right now. Other audiences will want to know what is happening to us. Other creators will and journalists will want to know what is happening to us because this affects, who knows what could happen to someone else. God forbid. And everyone needs to be on their toes and as far as being independent and truth to power, we are in this together. Okay, I think I'm to the bottom of the super chats. So Lucy Ruth, $2 in the super chat. Just checked and I am active. Support Status Coup. Awesome. Thank you, Lucy. Uh Narf Vader, 124 in euros. Thank you, thank you. Echo the Cat, $50 in the super chat. Yay! A little to help. Thank you so much. It definitely helps. Columbia SC Real Estate, $5 in the super chat. Keep bringing us the truth. We certainly will. Absolutely. Anne Marie Cunningham, 1999 in the super chat. Thank you. Snork Y2K. I love the Y2K, like that you have Y2K in your name. A good throwback. What a time. What a time. Two is that a dollar sign? I think it's a dollar sign. $2 in the super chat. After lead, next, please check out Hexavalent Chrome. I don't know what that is, but okay. Sounds like a superhero's crux or something. Why it is $5 in the super chat. You all are not going any damn where. I agree. Why it is. We are not going down without a fight, and not even then. Chris Wynn, $2 in the super chat. Willing to help on IT. I sent an email. We will check that email. G-Rep, $20 in the super chat. Keep fighting. We absolutely will. Beta Virus, $10 in the super chat. Not much, but hope it helps a little bit. It helps so much, Beta Virus. You're always such a great supporter. Thank you. Peace Power, $5 in the super duper chat. I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this. Your work is valuable to me, and I hope you get it all resolved. I'll put some more in the GoFundMe. Thank you. You guys are so amazing. Okay, I believe that I am caught up, unless you guys have.
And let me real quick, because
Bjornar sorry, I'm skewering your name. Sunsby 109 Nope. Thank you. If I'm staring at my screen like super close, guys, it's because my eyesight's terrible.
And real.
GoFundMe is also raining right now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kelly. $100. Wow. Heather, $10. Anonymous, $10. Gene, $100. Anonymous, $20. Status Poop, $50. Oh, I wish I could poop. $50. Thank you so much. $5. Anonymous. Sandra, $20. And of course, the Anonymous, $339. Keep it coming, because God, do we need it right now after all this. Keep it coming in the GoFundMe. And now Jen,
let me move on. I saw this earlier, and I see a lot of propaganda, but this, to me, was one of the most ridiculous, disgusting, insane things I've seen in a long time. And
I could not believe
and the
it.
entire reason that CNN pushed this ridiculous bullshit is simply because Trump is behind it. So if you didn't see the breaking news earlier today, President Trump, I guess he's now, although he's not really openly conceding yet, at least he's now starting to make decisions on his way out. Basically, who knows why he's making these decisions? Is it for his legacy? Is it to screw Biden? I don't know.
Openly conceding. I mean, last night he tweeted, "I won the election."
Right, so he's not willing to concede, but he might be making some decisions now knowing that he's on his way out. He won't say it, but he knows he's on his way out. So one of those decisions, again, I don't really care why he's making the decisions if they're the right decisions. So one of those
he is drawing down troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. Not completely pulling them out, but taking, removing troops from Afghanistan and Iraq. Right now we have 4,500 troops in Afghanistan. He's pulling 2,000 troops. So it will go down to 2,500 troops. In Iraq, which I thought we were gone, but apparently we're not, we have 3,000 troops in Iraq. He's pulling 500. So closer, not completely,
but closer to totally withdrawn. I mean, 2,500 troops in Afghanistan is still too many, but at least it's within, it's within the light at the end of the tunnel to get out of this ridiculous, wasteful 20-year war. About to hit 20 years. So, to me, is Trump doing it to screw Biden? Is Trump doing it to screw the warmongers, screw the military-industrial complex, piss off his neocon advisors, the ones that are still there or gone? Who cares? Whatever the reason, who cares? It's a good thing. And, I think you could credit Trump without being a traitor to the country. He deserves credit if he pulls troops out. Well, CNN, Jen, is aghast at this notion. CNN is absolutely aghast. Let's take a look.
There's probably an element of this that is about weakening Joe Biden as much as possible for purely political reasons, because this is a president who is going to be leaving the White House while also ceding the ground for a potential second run for office. And he's also trying to build a foundation upon which Republicans can continue to succeed with Trumpism. And in order to do that, he has to be able to say, I promise to get us out of these four foreign wars, and the Democrats want to keep us in these foreign wars. So a lot of this is about being able to have a rhetorical platform for the president. But again, as you point out, there are obviously real life consequences. And I think the most important part of this that sticks out to me that we can't forget is that the president just spent the last 2 weeks purging the civilian leadership of the Pentagon. We have to ask real questions about why that happened and what was the end game. Why would the president try to do that was the question that we had all along. Now we're seeing one of the main reasons why, and that should really be an alarming thing for a lot of people in Washington.
And Gloria, I mean, if he's doing this to weaken Joe Biden, he's doing this at the expense of the safety of American troops.
Absolutely.
To do something this quickly. I mean, not that we should be particularly surprised. We're also watching him stand idly by while Americans die, and he doesn't really seem to give a damn that they're dying of coronavirus. He hasn't changed his tune. He just pretends it doesn't exist. And here he is doing something that really could put at risk American troops.
Right. Absolutely. And I think what he wants to do, as Abby is saying, is drop a problem in Joe Biden's lap. And if you know the history of Joe Biden, he has not been one who is for robust military intervention in any way, shape, or form. So he can drop this problem on Biden. And if Biden believes he needs to put these troops back, he would do it, because if he believes and his Pentagon brass believe that it is in the safety of American troops and in the national security interests of this country.
So I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start on that absolute madness. I don't even know where to start. Do you start with just Trump derangement, the fact that we're in a moment in just the zeitgeist where if Trump announced a cure for cancer, they'd say it's a bad thing. Again, I don't care if it's Ronald McDonald deciding this. I don't care why Trump is deciding this. But the insane phrase, and we'll get to Gloria Berger's insane lie, that Joe Biden doesn't have a history of military adventurism, advocating for that. But Breonna Taylor, I think her name's Breonna Taylor, the anchor, says, running the risk of moving too quickly. Moving too quickly? What do you want us to be there? Is 50 years in Afghanistan enough time? What do you mean, moving too quickly? First of all, he's not withdrawing all the troops. He should.
Right.
It can't, like, all this notion of like, oh no, you can't move that many troops in 2 months. Yes, you can. You can.
Right. That's the number one thing that I noticed, like, of the people yelling at you on Twitter when you tweeted this out, is everyone, like the people who were defending these lunatics, were saying, oh, it's just too fast. Like, you can't do it this fast. And you correctly pointed out, they're not talking about everyone. Like, Trump, he's not talking about everyone. It's like, what was it, 2,500 in Afghanistan and 500 in Iraq?
Yes. And by the way, I don't know. I think it's less dangerous for soldiers to be at home with their loved ones. Maybe not now, because we have a pandemic that the president's not doing anything about. But overall, I think it's less dangerous. She says he's doing this at the expense of the safety of the troops. So they're more safe in war zones where they could be, IUDs could explode wherever they are. They could be bombed. Taliban, fighting with the Taliban or ISIS or wherever. What madness? What kind of ridiculous argument is this? It's like if Donald Trump does anything, forget why he's doing it. I don't really care. If Donald Trump does anything, we have to come up with a reason that it's dangerous, that it's a security threat, that he's moving too quickly. Meanwhile, we're going on 20 years. Do you think in 20 years they haven't come up with a plan for withdrawal? She's saying it's too quickly to try to do it in 2 months. You think they don't already have the plans already drawn up on how to move troops out safely? By the way, remember that Washington Post story? I think it was earlier this year. One rare exception, they do good work. They had an amazing story on this war in Afghanistan. The just literally trillions of dollars that have been wasted, that generals had commands from the Pentagon, just spend the money. It doesn't matter what you spend it on, giving them a quota of how much money you have to spend a day. It doesn't matter what you're spending it on. It's just insane. And you want to know something? Why they're saying this is because they exist to maintain the status quo. And removing troops in the military-industrial complex, you never actually fully remove troops from countries. When America goes somewhere, they're committed. It's not like a wham, bam, slam, thank you, ma'am kind of relationship. We got troops in Germany still, Japan. I mean, there's documentaries about the military bases we have all over the world. So
yeah, we have like over.
They're not upset that it's happening too quickly, Jen. They're upset that it's happening at all.
Well, whenever the military-industrial complex gets like too worried that we're gonna leave a place or pull out of a war or stop a war, or like whenever we're like done doing our latest coup, the thing the military-industrial complex always says is, oh, well, we're going to leave a vacuum. They're going to attack our allies. They're going to attack the innocent civilians. Like, they paint this real sob story. And don't get me wrong, it does happen. It can leave a vacuum where people, innocent people, get hurt, where our allies do get hurt, where innocent people in the land we've overtaken and cooed do get hurt. So I'm not making that case, but it can be done right, and it should be done right. We cannot forever stay occupying places. These warmongers are going to always use this excuse, always. So it's not a surprise. I've acted surprised about this CNN clip. It's truly not a surprise. I think it's just so brazen. Like, that's what the surprise is. I can't get over just how, and Brianna herself, it's just, she was almost robotic, like reading from a teleprompter. And then we have Gloria, which I know you're going to rant about her because she was really something special there in that clip. And then, what's her name, Abby Phillip. Like, it was just, it was a really telling clip that summarizes our us as a nation in modern history and where we are today. Like, you're right. It's what was it? It's like Bernie praising Castro for like one thing and people flipping out. Like, that's the same thing with Trump. He can do like one okay thing, and people think you're not allowed to call that out. And it's the thing with Biden. Like, okay, people are happy that we're going to have Biden in the White House. And neoliberals, like the brunch people, are really happy, and they still say, like they used to say, oh, wait till after the election to criticize Biden. Well, now it's after the election. No, you can't criticize Biden because he beat Trump. Like, it's never going to be enough for these people. Well, I'm sorry, like, maybe he's not hawkish Hillary, but he still has a bad record. He's still hawkish. He's not like Joe Biden takes the train. Like, who cares? It doesn't mean he doesn't want to bomb countries and overthrow people. Like, he does. So.
And by the way, again, we don't know. We think we just got another new member, so we don't know if that's somebody who took our direction, looked to see if their account was still active, saw that it was inactive, and pressed resubscribe. But we already are showing up four more members since we gave those directions to you. So keep going to look if your account is still active. Again, statuscoup.com/account. Am I saying that right, Jen?
Yeah, you can go there. You can. That's probably the easiest.
Yeah, statuscoup.com/account, and then click on.
Or you can go to Status Coup and then hover over the member tab, and you'll see subscriptions. So subscriptions is the specific tab that you want.
By the way, I would never ever tell you to go anywhere else while we're live. But in this case, you can't go anywhere else. I won't allow that. But you could open up another tab because our cameraman John is currently on with Ron Placone. So we want to give Ron and John some love. So you could keep both tabs up at once, but you have to, we are the priority. You could watch them
He's
later.
on again? I thought he was on at 2, because I thought it was 5 and then it was 2.
2 o'clock Pacific, which is 5 o'clock Eastern.
Well, I thought that, but then someone said he was live earlier. I could, if he's live, he's live.
Streamed
I
live.
thought I
Oh,
was
never
wrong
mind.
earlier.
Streamed live 4 hours ago. I'm telling fake news.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
somebody put in
people should
somebody
know.
put in the chat that he was live now, so I got confused.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool. So Ron wanted me to come on to talk about John's reporting in DC this past weekend, which was incredible. He really put himself at risk. I mean, COVID's going crazy. There was a stabbing there were protest groups against these MAGA people, these Proud Boys, etc. So John was where all the action was. Like, he got incredible footage. It's done really well for us. We got many, many subscribers from it. So when Jordan and I were dealing with this membership stuff and the hacking and everything, so I said, hey, John, why don't you go on with Ron? Ron, who we had just hung out with when we were in LA with Tina. Ron's a great guy. So John was like, yeah, sure. So I can't wait to watch it later. So definitely open it up in a different tab. Don't leave us.
And by the way,
but definitely check out John.
And by the way, GoFundMe is still raining. Let me give some shout outs.
Thank you, Dave, $5 in the GoFundMe. Cindy, $50 in the GoFundMe. Susan, $25. Anthony, $5. Rency, $20. Anonymous, $10, and Anonymous, $25, and we got Kelly last time. So we are now, almost about $325 away from another major milestone, $130,000 raised. And like we said, we need the money more than ever, because until we figure out this membership purge, we need to raise a significant amount of money to try and offset the amount of revenue we've lost from all these members being made inactive. So we really appreciate everyone that's donating, and if you can, definitely chip in. Jen,
so we have sorry, just before we move on, I've solved the puzzle. So we have 3 new Status Coup members and 1 who is reactivated. So welcome, new Status Coup member Dave.
Woohoo!
Welcome, new Status Coup member Christian. Welcome, new Status Coup member Cynthia. Love you all. You're amazing, amazing people.
And one of them reactivated. So one of them went and saw that they were made inactive when they didn't cancel.
Yeah, and you're amazing too. I just can't. I don't know who it is.
Yeah. So okay, great. But it was one thing. It was one thing that Breonna Keeler is gaslighting America, making it seem like, oh no, it's more dangerous for the troops to leave a war zone than to stay. That was one thing. But then Gloria Borger, who, by the way, I want to be diplomatic about this because you got to be PC. It's one of the biggest gas bags on TV, Gloria Borger. She has no brain. I mean, I've watched her for years. This is a political analyst. She knows nothing. I'm just being clear. She knows nothing. She's one of the worst pundits on television, and most of them are bad. But she says, states as a fact. And, anybody that knows Joe Biden over his career, he's never been for robust military intervention. That's just Joe Biden. He's like, Rand Paul in that regard. The Gulf War would disagree with you. The Iraq War would disagree with you. He was telling Obama, no, don't send SEAL Team 6 in to get Obama. Just bomb the compound. Which Obama was like, no thanks, Joe. Go take a nap. Because that would have been a reckless decision to bomb a sovereign country, Pakistan, without telling them. That could be, you're basically signaling an act of war by bombing a compound that you thought bin Laden was in, rather than, to Obama's credit, doing it the way he did it with SEAL Team 6. But Gloria Borges said this, and it's just like, what? Does she actually believe this? Or does she just know she's lying? I mean, I have the clip here. I could play it if people want. But Biden, frankly, I don't think Bernie quite made this clear during the primary. It's one thing if you get it wrong, right? If you were a sucker and believe George W. Bush and Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell, and you truly believed that there was weapons of mass destruction and all this nonsense. That's one thing. I mean, that's bad judgment on its own. But if you also then, after the fact, not a week after, the war started, but months after the war started, when it was a giant clusterfuck and Democrats were starting to turn against it, and you go out and you're cheering on the war. This was Joe Biden cheering on the war. I mean, actually, I will play some of this clip. This was Joe Biden in July of 2003. I think he was speaking at the Brookings Institute, basically saying, we got to stay in Iraq, and I think it's...
We still haven't heard a single clear statement from the President of the United States of America articulating his policy in general, and specifically that securing Iraq will cost billions of American dollars, require tens of thousands of American troops for an extended period of time, and that it's worth it, that it is worth it, and most importantly, that it's in our national interest to stay the course, a view that I strongly hold. Some of my own party have said that it was a mistake to go to Iraq in the first place, and believe that it's not worth the cost, whatever benefit may flow from our engagement in Iraq. But the cost of not acting against Saddam, I think, would have been much greater. And so is the cost, and so will be the cost, of not finishing this job. The President of the United States is a bold leader, and he is popular. The stakes are high, and the need for leadership is great. I wish he'd use some of his stored-up popularity to make what I admit is not a very popular case. But I and many others will support him when he makes the case. I wish the President, instead of standing in front of an aircraft carrier in front of a banner 7 years ago, several months ago, saying mission accomplished, had stood in front of a banner that said, we've only just begun.
So, yeah, Gloria Borger. That's a guy who's not for robust military intervention. This is a guy, he even addressed it, Jen. He said, even though some of my Democratic colleagues disagree, I support the war. He's basically, I won't be crass, but giving out sexual favors to W, saying he's a popular leader, he's a bold leader. I mean, it was evident to anyone with a brain, frankly, before the war, but even Democrats who got suckered into this or caved to political pressures were starting to turn against this. I don't remember who, but they, whoever in Bush's administration said, yeah, we'll be out in a month. This is months later. Troops had, a lot of troops had already died in Iraq. So it's just, I feel like what we saw today from CNN, both the crass Trump derangement, not just taking the win and saying, whatever, maybe he's doing it to screw Joe Biden, maybe he's doing it to say F you to the warmongers and the neocons that were in his administration, most of which he had appointed, by the way. But they're basically saying, like, him doing the right thing is somehow endangering troops. And then trying to pretend that Joe Biden somehow, Joe Biden might have done this himself because he's not into big wars, even though he was involved with Obama's administration intervening in Libya and in Syria and everywhere else the Obama administration wrongly intervened. So I just think this is an unfortunate sign of things to come, which is the media, how do I say this respectfully? Bending over backwards for soon-to-be President Biden and reinventing history and continuing to prop up the military-industrial complex. And I'm sure tonight, if we watch, they'll have generals and people that have gross conflicts of interest that sit on boards for defense contractors on to say how dangerous this is that Trump is doing this. You want to know something? I don't care who it triggers. I credit Donald Trump. He's a fascist in many ways, and he's being a ridiculous, dangerous lunatic, denying this election. it's already sparking danger. John, for us, covered these rallies, these Million MAGA lunatic march the other day, where I don't have the confirmation, but there were reports that the Proud Boys literally were attacking journalists. There was even, again, I haven't looked into it, but there was even rumors that Proud Boys stabbed counter-protesters. So,
not rumors, it definitely
it definitely happened. Okay. So So my point is, Trump is sparking this lunacy. But I can also say, on one hand, he's sparking this lunacy, but I don't have Trump derangement, so I could also credit him when he's right. And on this, I don't care why he's doing it. It's the right thing to do. And I hope he wakes up tomorrow and says, fuck it, we're moving them all home. That's what should happen. And shame on CNN for this propaganda, because that's what it is. It's propaganda.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's hard for me to go as far as saying that I give Trump credit. Like, I don't want to give him credit for anything. I think, like, yeah, okay, like, this is, like, one of the least shitty things he'll do in his presidency. He isn't doing it for the right reasons. I don't care about the reasons. I think it is a good thing. It's certainly not pulling everyone out. Obviously, that can't be done super duper quickly. He should have started it earlier if he actually wanted to end this stuff. And I think he is so dangerous. Like, I don't want to give him credit. With that said, it scares me how many, like, neo-libs are going to be sitting at home tonight watching MSNBC or CNN or whatever and just shaking, like, nodding their heads along with the anchors and the commentators who are telling them that Donald Trump ending war or, like, bringing some troops home, bad. Joe Biden, war, good. Like, yes, that makes sense to me. Because they nod along to whatever these people tell them. This is also a brainwashing. Like, people can't and don't think for themselves anymore. They go with whatever the line is. And it scares me because the propaganda is so effective. And earlier I noted that you would think that they could at least wrap the propaganda in a pretty bow. They could at least make it, like, less obvious, but no, they don't have to, because it's so easily accepted by the masses, and it's sad. On the point of Joe Biden and hawkishness, it could definitely be worse. It is not going to be good. He is going to, like, he is essentially a right winger, and he is far more hawkish than I like far more. And when people say, like, oh, his thoughts on war and, like, the clips Jordan was pulling and stuff, like, oh, that was so long ago. You can't pull, like, people didn't know back then, like, whatever. Okay, sure. People make votes that they regret 20 years ago, whatever. Sure, fine. So where is his remorse right now? Where is his speech where he talks about how wrong he was and how much he regrets that? It's nowhere, because he doesn't regret it. It's nowhere because he is in the pocket of the military-industrial complex. He is not anyone's savior. He is not going to be peaceful Amtrak Joe. And yes, like, the Amtrak station I use is literally called the Joseph Robinette Biden station. It's horrible. In Delaware.
And they sniff your hair as a price of admission.
Yeah, you walk in and they just start sniffing you. It's weird. So I don't know. And going back to Trump, like, this guy doesn't have a real ideology. This is a guy who, like, Tucker Carlson, who's trying to, in my opinion, be Tucker 2024. Like, Donald Trump's I think it was Syria or something. Like, he was about to bomb Syria, and Tucker calls him. He's like, "Oh, that's not a good idea." And he's like, "Okay." So this isn't like, this is not a stable person making stable decisions. This happens to be a decision in the path to good. So I'll cheer that on, I guess, but I won't cheer Trump on.
A few things on that. You know, I respect what you say, but I just personally think, you know, we need to get back to this thing that we can credit somebody issue by issue. It doesn't need to be somebody's all terrible or all great. You know, for example, if Biden does something good, my audience might not like it, but I'll credit him. You know, for example, he's saying, he gave a speech today, a lot of it frankly was incoherent, but he said he wants to push the HEROES Act through, or something like the HEROES Act, when he gets sworn in. I don't think the HEROES Act goes far enough, but it's certainly better than nothing. So if it happens, I'll credit him, because it would reinstate the unemployment.
Like, if David Duke picks a flower for like a crippled child, I'm not gonna be like, oh, that was nice, David Duke, good job. Like, I'm not gonna do that.
I personally
So
think
why-
removing troops from the Middle East is a little different than picking a daisy for a child, but that's just my opinion. So I could credit Trump. It doesn't mean all the other terrible stuff goes away. It just means on this, even if it's him in his underwear in bed eating a cheeseburger, just, you know, just throwing shit at a wall, as long as it puts a dent on the military-industrial complex, I'll give him credit for it. Secondly, I want to point out, because we didn't push this, you know, we've been pushing GoFundMe and all other things. I just got an alert. Lara Hamilton edited their pledge on Patreon from giving us $1 a month to $20 a month. Holy cow, Lara.
Nice.
So
That's amazing.
membership is our core. You know, we have urged people to sign up through our website, statuscoup.com/join. But we also, you can become a patron, and I don't know, I think we have a little under 300 there. So on Patreon, you can, you know, edit or increase your amount. At our website too, you could upgrade to a higher membership count. So thank you, Lara. That's $20 a month is super, super helpful. We really appreciate that. We also got another Patreon. I just lost it, but we got another Patreon. So thank you, whoever just signed up as a Patreon too. So, and we also got some more GoFundMe donations. So let me give you a shout out.
Thank you, Dorcas, if I'm pronouncing that right, $20. Sean, $20. Dave, $5. Cindy, $50. So we're $285 away from hitting $130,000 raised. And boy, and I always have to say this, it's an optical illusion. We don't have 130 grand in the bank. If we did, Jen and I would not be as panicked as we are about the member declines. So definitely maybe we could hit 130,000 today. Like we've always said, we've been spending the money from GoFundMe, we've been spending in real time over a little over 2 years that we've had the GoFundMe to cover travel and many other expenses with the business. So that's not all in our bank, far from it. I want to do one other story, Jen.
Definitely keep on donating to the GoFundMe. Keep going and checking if your membership is what your membership status is. We definitely want to make sure, if you want to be a member and you thought you were a member, definitely check to make sure you're still active. And again, if it's showing up as inactive, you were wrongly removed, and you could sign back up by simply going to statuscoup.com/account and clicking on subscriptions, and there should be a resubscribe button. And if you have any questions, email us. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can. info@statuscoup.com, info@statuscoup.com. So in Biden's press conference today, he gave an economic speech. I don't know. The media framed it like, oh, he seemed kind of, incredulous to Trump not conceding. I said to my wife, I don't know, like, it kind of looks, I don't know, something seemed off to me. He kind of seemed like a little, dare I say, low energy. But there was one thing at the end of the press conference that the media is certainly not going to talk about. I don't know if many people picked it up, but to me was a pretty subtle indication that the TPP trade deal, which labor leaders when Obama was pushing it, said would be the final nail in organized labor's coffin, would offshore millions of more jobs. He sounded very, very inclined to support a free trade deal with Asian countries. Let me play this part of his press conference where he's answering a question from a reporter.
And also on the economic front, as we fight the pandemic, world trade continues, and there is great debate over world trade agreements, international trade agreements. It seems that in the last couple of days, 15 countries, Asian, Pacific countries, have signed onto a new trade deal, the RCEP. Should the United States consider joining that trade agreement?
I've talked with a number of these world leaders, and I told them, under the law, I'm not able to begin to discuss with them. There's only one president at a time as to who can say what our policy will be. So I'm reluctant to answer that question now, but here's what I can say. We make up 25% of the world's trading capacity, of the economy of the world. We need to be aligned with the other democracies, another 25% or more, so that we can set the rules of the road instead of having China and others dictate outcomes because they are the only game in town. And so, but what I'm insisting on, and what I've been asked by world leaders as to what I would do, without getting into detail, I've said, but I want you to know that there are three things that are going to happen if I'm elected. One, we're going to invest in American workers and make them more competitive. Number two, we're going to make sure that labor is at the table and environmentalists are at the table in any trade deals we make. And I'm not looking for punitive trade. The idea that we are poking our finger in the eyes of our friends and embracing autocrats makes no sense to me. And so, but I'm reluctant to get into more detail at this moment. I promise you I have a pretty thorough plan, and I will be prepared to announce that to you on January 21st.
You have indicated changes you want to make in U.S. international policy on other fronts, like the Paris climate.
Yes, that's
deal.
a generic notion of rejoining, but I didn't get into the detail of.
So what you're hearing there, and this was kind of this was the framing from Obama and Biden on TPP, that we want to do the TPP trade deal, which was with the Asian Pacific region, to take away control from China. We don't want China to dominate the region. So we want to have trade deals with the Asian Pacific countries to basically neutralize China. In reality, TPP was just NAFTA with other countries. Instead of Mexico and Canada, it would be a similar trade deal to NAFTA with countries in the Asian Pacific, therefore offshoring our jobs. So the question he was asked was not about TPP, it was about a different trade deal that China is part of, RECP or something like that. But the actual, what he said, which was basically, well, we don't want China to run things, and we don't want China to dominate the global market. To me, that's somebody talking like a free trader who, once he gets in there, might change a few sentences and ram TPP through, which, by the way, in 2016, Biden himself was pushing Hillary Clinton not to abandon the TPP. And as of last year, Biden was still supporting the TPP. And when asked about it during this campaign, when he was running, he didn't say he was for it, but he kind of hemmed and hawed on TPP. So why is this important? It's not a sexy topic, but remember, why did they fire Ed Schultz, who's, rest in peace? Why was Ed Schultz fired from MSNBC? Because he was the only one that would talk about TPP against it. Why is it that in the mainstream media they would not have anti-TPP voices on? And why is it that Obama was going against labor unions in terms of the TPP? Oh, we almost lasted, Jen. Your screen just went out of frame. We almost.
Oh no.
We
Wow.
almost. Hold on. Let me try to fix it. So, 1 second. ways of doing this now. So bottom line, I don't know what you think, Jen. To me, that sounded like somebody who is ready to make some free trade deals. Yeah, he'll throw in, labor's going to be at the table. The environmentalists will be at the table. But in reality, they always say that, and then they sell out labor and environmentalists.
1 second, my ear AirPods just died. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ask me a question, or you just want my thoughts? So we've known that he's backed the TPP, these trade deals. Like, we know he's afraid of China having the largest pool. And I need to do much more reading on this. It's the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership on that, because that seems like, it's 15 Asia Pacific countries expected to sign that deal. It would become the world's largest trade agreement. So I wonder what the landscape looks like if that happens, and what Biden's plan would be in light of that. So I don't know. And I didn't see that press conference either, but I think, it's not a surprise at all that Biden would head in this direction. It seems right up his alley.
So this is Richard Trumska who wrote this. But here's what they're not telling you. The TPP and agreements like it would actually speed up China's growing dominance and give Beijing access to trade benefits without asking for anything in return. In fact, the same global firms that set the disastrous terms of the current U.S.-China trading relationship wrote the rules of TPP. Among other giveaways, the TPP would have made brand-name drugs less affordable and given foreign corporations the power to sue governments in private tribunals over regulations they didn't like. In addition, the TPP did nothing to address critical bread-and-butter issues like currency manipulation, and little to ensure workers' rights would be protected and enforced. The plain truth is the TPP/NAFTA model has weakened our position with China by holding down wages, stifling investment, and exploding inequality. Well,
He might have been asked in that press conference about a different trade deal than TPP, but the same exact principle, what he said is the same exact principle of why he was pushing TPP in the first place. We can't let China run roughshod over the world. We can't let China have market dominance with all these countries, so we got to get in there and make these trade deals. The problem is, maybe organized labor and environmentalists are at the table as window dressing. They always say, they're going to be at the table. This is what they said about NAFTA. We'll have them at the table. But somehow, they lose their invite to the main dinner table discussion that allows Wall Street banks and multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates to write these trade deals, which allow us and companies to hire, workers in Mexico and China. God bless those workers. It's not the workers I'm mad at. They need work, but allow them to offshore our jobs for basically slave laborers in other countries. In this case, if the TPP went through, we would be handing over jobs that were in the Rust Belt and elsewhere to Asian Pacific countries. And not that I don't want good economies and jobs for other countries, but I don't know. Call me old-fashioned. I care about American jobs before other jobs. Watch this, because it's not a sexy topic. It's definitely not one corporate media will talk about much. Frankly, I don't think independent media will talk. I mean, Steve Grumbine, for example, of Real Progressives, somebody like him, Richard Wolff, a great socialist economist, they'll pick up on this. But I think when Biden gets in, he's saying the right things now. He'll definitely make the pandemic first priority. TPP ain't going to be far behind it. I will put the very little money I have down that TPP is going through under President Biden. So definitely focus and pay attention to that.
So are you saying, because you're much better versed on this topic than I am, TPP under a different name?
No, it'll be TPP.
Like,
they'll just change a couple sentences, move commas around and pretend. That's what Trump did with the new NAFTA, saying, "Oh, this is much better." No, it wasn't. That's why Bernie voted against it. The new NAFTA is much like the old NAFTA. They just changed a couple things and sold it as, a brand new deal. But at the end of the day, does nothing. The new NAFTA, nor would TPP, do a damn thing to penalize countries for offshoring their jobs. I mean, really penalize them, to make them not do it. I think the new NAFTA, I don't even think mentioned climate change. TPP would, but I mean, the environmental regulations in NAFTA and most of these trade deals are non-enforceable. And TPP, like Richard Trumka wrote in that op-ed a couple years ago, literally leaves disputes to private foreign tribunals. What could go wrong? So no, I'm not saying we should never have any trade deals, but if trade deals, this notion that, well, Jordan, these trade deals lowered consumer goods. Okay, but they might lower consumer goods for people doing okay on the East Coast and the West Coast. But what about the worker bees in between that work at factories who get laid off? What about the workers? It's not just the Rust Belt. Factory workers, union workers. What happens to them? So we could get consumer goods at a cheaper rate. Well, what if half the country doesn't benefit from that because they're getting laid off and have to become gig workers? So you can't sacrifice one class of worker to produce cheaper goods. And I think if it was presented that way at the time, NAFTA would have been a lot more unpopular than it ended up being at the time. And if TPP were presented that way, like, yes, this is going to create new markets and new, easier exchanges of products. It might lower consumer consumer goods. But the fine print is, you might have a flood of companies starting to offshore more jobs to countries in these trade deals. I don't think people would like that. Not in this anti-establishment, more populist moment we have. So we'll find out. We'll follow it and see what happens. We also got a new patron. So new patron, Pat, $10 patron. Thank you, Pat. And I think I'm starting to see a couple emails from people. Again, you could email info@statuscoup.com. I guess you guys did what we told you to do to resubscribe. So folks are sending us in emails in terms of their subscription is showing up as inactive, even though they didn't cancel, and need some help troubleshooting. So definitely, if that is you, email us, info@statuscoup.com. If you're seeing that you were made inactive, but you didn't actually cancel and you don't want to be active, you want to be a member, and for whatever reason you're not able to resubscribe, email us, info@statuscoup.com. We can't get back to you immediately, but we will get back to you and try to figure it out so we can get you back on board. Anything else before we go for the day, Jen?
Yeah, we have a bunch of super chats to go through because people have been so generous today. It's really heartwarming and encouraging after a really, really tough few days dealing with this membership situation, this hacking. So Jacqueline DeBlue, 10 pounds in the super duper chat. I'm back, baby, a la Austin Powers. I love Austin Powers. What a throwback. I canceled, then resubbed, and Hazy and I are now active again.
Yes.
For Halloween. Good. Yeah, hopefully it sticks. Beta Virus, $2 in the super chat. A shot for every time Jordan forgets to mute. You would be surprised. It is really, really hard to produce yourself when you're live and reporting and remembering things, plus reading things, plus trying to do OBS, which is the thing we use to go live. It's hard.
Can I just tell people? Can I just say, I don't want to get in the weeds, but for whatever reason, OBS makes it that right now, Jen and I are on screen together. That is one, they call it scenes. That's one scene. But if I want to show you an article or a video, when I move off of Jen and I to show you that, it automatically mutes the mic. And then when I come back to Jen and I, the mic is still muted. So yeah, I don't know why OBS does that, but it's not just me forgetting to put it back on. I don't know why OBS, the system we're using, makes you turn on the mic, then mutes the mic. So I apologize. Jen and I actually tested out a different program today. I didn't want to try it today because we got enough on our hands, but we are going to try, what is it, StreamYard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're going to try StreamYard, which is another way we could be on together that doesn't seem to have this thing where mics get muted and you have to keep switching on and off. So apologize if I forgot to turn the audio on.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but we're trying. Tanya H, 20 euros, I think euros. I think people could think for themselves if they were properly informed. They will not be informed watching CNN, however. So let's all support Status Coup. Tanya, that is a really good point. And there actually, this reminds me, there's a documentary I want to watch, and it's called, what's it called? It's like the brainwashing of my father. It's about, I think it's on Amazon Prime Video or whatever. So it's about this daughter who documents her father's descent into right-wing madness. I think he starts out as a Democrat, then he just starts watching Fox News all day, every day. And she documents this and how his entire brain and way of looking at the world melts into, Bill O'Reilly land at the time. So that is one example. The all day MSNBC or CNN viewing is another example. I had OAN on, which by the way I paid actual money for, which is horrific. But I have to see what the other side, what these lunatics are doing. So watching that all day is one thing that warps people's brains. So you're right. If people are not informed and they surround themselves by only one point of view, and by corporatized propaganda that has a direct mission to misinform, then I don't think that they can be blamed for the way that they think or feel, or at least not fully, depending on the situation. So yeah, I do think a lot of people, it's like Bernie woke a lot of people up. People had never heard of this stuff. I remember being a total asshole when I was younger and I heard of a $15 minimum wage. I was like, oh, people are just flipping burgers. Why would they earn $15? That's ridiculous. What an asshole I was. And I remember thinking that because I grew up watching Fox News. I had insane, crazy right-wing James Dobson focus on the family cult, people surrounding me. And that's what I was taught. So I agree with you. So Status Coup and independent media is where it's at. And also educating ourselves, learning as much as we can about different perspectives, having a dialogue, allowing differences of opinion, allowing discussion. It's all so important. Sarah Riley, $10 in the super chat. Look at the sweetheart contracts attached to Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and BAE. I worked in the military-industrial complex for 12 years. The waste of taxpayer money is intentional and egregious. Oh my gosh.
Would you like to be a whistleblower and come on with Status Coup?
Yeah, actually, Sarah, that is a great idea. Whistleblowers welcome. info@statuscoup.com. And actually, this is something we should have our new tech people do. Is we've been wanting to set up, I think it's Trevor Tim who manages it, or no, it might be, who does it? I can't remember, it doesn't matter. The secure drop box, so people can whistleblow to us very securely. So we definitely want to do that. Chris Bedford, $2 in the super chat. Keep making trouble, guys. Absolutely. We won't stop. We'll make good trouble. Cyric Riley, $5 in the super chat. Hexavalent chrome is a deadly chemical used in manufacturing. Very good to know. That does sound like something I want to look into for sure. Absolutely. And yeah, that reminds me too, like the DuPont and Biden connections. I wanna connect those dots too. Okay, so I think we're caught up on super chats here. We do have some questions of people who have just more recently come in and asking what the announcement is. To make a pretty long story short, the backbone of our business is membership, and we run our membership through our own website, statuscoup.com. We've been successful with this membership. We offer great perks, behind the scenes content and reporting and things like that. Well, unfortunately, about the time that COVID started happening and taking over, we started to notice a drop in memberships. And so we chalked that up to economic fears and economic realities. But then it started accelerating, and more recently. Like Jordan went for a walk, checked our membership count before the walk and after the walk, and it was like over 30 people dropped within that time frame, which is not normal. People don't just drop our membership because they hate it. Like, people want to contribute to our independent reporting. They like us. So we started getting really concerned, and when we announced like our fears, or like we just said, we have no idea what's going on a live stream. We had a tech person reach out to us who is a viewer. His name is Anthony Damasco. He runs a business out of Vero Beach, Florida, and he took a deep look. He's been working really hard, and he saw that we were intentionally and maliciously hacked in October of 2019. And this was around the time where we were doing some pretty groundbreaking reporting in Flint, Michigan, that at that time we were doing undercover. We were getting information that nobody was really supposed to have, which implicated the former governor of Michigan, and essentially leading to people's deaths in Flint due to the water crisis. Information that implicated his right-hand man, Rich Baird, in really nefarious and horrible deeds as well. It's a big story. It's in Vice. It came out in April. So we have no idea who did this hacking. I want to make that clear. What we do know is that this was intentional. It's really bad. And so Anthony, I won't get into the security measures. I won't get into everything he's done, because I'll admit I'm a little paranoid. I don't want to put too much info out there, but Anthony is handling it. It's in a place now where he can now assess everything that is happening, and he is working very hard to put out this fire. So basically, people are not actually canceling their memberships. Something is happening to purge members in mass, like crazy.
Let me show the graphic one more time.
Okay.
The number on the left is what we had in April. When Jen was last, the last primary we covered all the primaries, in the Democratic primary in the field. That's 1,862 is where we were at, when Jen was covering the Michigan primary in Michigan. And this morning we were at 1,523. That is not normal. We did not lose all of those members just due to the economy and people having to cancel. And more alarmingly than just the overall drop, we noticed it accelerated in the past 2 weeks. Here was the number we were at when we were in Philadelphia, covering Election Day and then the days after Election Day, as the ballots were being counted and all that. We were almost back at 1,700. We were at 1,686 when we left Philadelphia. What was that, a week and a half ago? And then today we're at 1,523. So that's losing 20, 30 members a day, which just is abnormal. I mean, the only way you would lose the only way you would lose that many paying members a day is if there was some massive scandal to a company
and everybody just, ran for the exits all at once. So that's, thank God, a viewer reached out who happens to be a web developer, tech person, and because we told the audience, yeah, we're losing a lot of members, we're freaking out, we don't know what it's for. So we spoke with him, he looked into it, and within a day, he was able to see our website was infected with over 100 malware viruses. And the original hack happened in October 2019, which just happened to be when Jen and I were on the ground in Flint doing extremely risky reporting, and criminal documents were leaked to us that could potentially put people in jail. So again, we can't definitively say it came from the former governor of Michigan or his people that got into our system, but we do strongly believe, and Anthony, our web guy, believes the hack and the viruses that were targeted. It wasn't like a random hacker. He's saying it looks like our website was specifically targeted, that hack and that virus led to as many as possibly 300 paid members not being canceled, but their payments not going through. And again, to be clear, well, yes, being canceled basically, because their payments didn't go through. But just to be clear, if you came to this late, Anthony gave us 110% certainty your actual data, meaning your information, is secure, credit card, all that, because that's not through our website. That's through PayPal and Stripe. PayPal and Stripe were not hacked. It was our website that was hacked. So you don't have to worry about your financial information or anything like that. So that's why we are telling you, if you are a member, and if you believe you're a member, if you once paid to sign up to be a member, go to statuscoup.com. Let me show you one more time. Go to statuscoup.com. If I could get it loaded up here, statuscoup.com. So you'll go to the website.
And right here, become a member, right down there, subscriptions. And when you click on subscriptions, for me, it says nothing because I'm not a member. I didn't sign up for a membership, sorry. But for you, if you go over, become a member, click on subscriptions, there should be, in this field, you'll see, where is it? This. You should see whatever account you had signed up for. It will either say active, which means you're good, no issue. And if it says no, that means you thought you were a member, but your payments haven't been going through. So you could click resubscribe. So we're already seeing a couple new members signing up since we've been live today. And we believe
some of them might be people who did that, right, Jen? Who looked to see if they were inactive and resubscribed. So I think by the end of it, again, this is not going to be all in one day. It's going to take weeks for us to reach out to individual members. It's going to be a pain in the ass for you, but we're going to have to remind people of this every day. But we believe when it's all said and done, we potentially could get back as many as 200 people who were wrongly made inactive. So that's the hope. And until then, please, I'm begging you, I will beg, please keep going to our GoFundMe.
We got another one, Solomon, $10. So we're now just $275 away from $130,000 raised. Again, we don't have 130 grand in the bank. That's just how much we've raised cumulatively. We spent quite a lot on travel, on reporting, but the GoFundMe
right now is the way for us to offset, which frankly is a few $1,000s in revenue we've lost every month due to this hack and the inactives and all that. And I also think, before we wrap, Jen, to me, this is also, part of what the audience should know is this is part of, there's a lot of liberty and there's a lot of freedom that comes by actually being independent, by not being a media company owned by a multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerate. There's a lot of liberty and freedom when you don't have to go to your bosses, and get everything squashed, and editors, block you every turn of the way if you actually want to investigate real power, because it's happened to me before. But when you are truly independent and you don't have, those financial sugar daddies and sugar mamas, it's a lot harder, and you have to cut corners in places. And I don't want to say we cut corners, but we just didn't have the money when we started for a really good website, for a tech team to have on monthly retainer. And as a result of that, it was basically Jen troubleshooting shit. She might know some WordPress stuff, but she's not a tech developer. She's not an expert to identify if we've been hacked and those kind of things. So this is what sometimes happens when you're independent, you're small, you're scrappy. Shit could happen, like getting hacked and not even knowing you were hacked for a while. Thankfully, this is what's great about having a close relationship with your audience. Anthony was a viewer, and he reached out, and we looked into. He had great reviews. Check him out. What is it? Damasco Innovations, I think, is his company.
Yeah.
Check if you need web help. He's been great so far. Yeah. So just the viewer is now helping us on what is a 5-alarm fire for us. So we'll continue to update you and keep donating if you can to help us in the short term offset the losses. And yeah.
Like to remind people, or to like drive this home, we've lost. Do we have the exact count, or the around estimated count?
Yeah, but if I go to it, they're not going to hear you.
I know. I just didn't know if you knew off the top of your head.
Let me see.
So my math, let's see, 60, 15, 60, almost 350. Almost 350 we've lost since April.
350, and assuming everyone's a $5 member, which is not the case. We have $10 memberships, $20 memberships, and this doesn't include annual members. So times 5. So that is losing $1,700 of income a month. That is how much we're down per month. That's substantial for a startup like us. So that's why we're asking you to please double check your memberships, which again, you can go to statuscoup.com, hover over the member tab, go down to subscriptions, check it. If it says resubscribe, please resubscribe. If it says like a bunch of weird options like members and like cancel and a bunch of stuff, cancel, then resubscribe. If you are able to at all, it really, really helps if you support us through our GoFundMe at any amount. The money that you see there that we've raised over 2.5 years has been used on investigative and in-field reporting. So your continued support helps kind of bridge that gap where we're losing thousands and thousands of dollars due to this hacking. So very appreciated for sure. And we have some great super chats still coming in. You guys are amazing. We have the best viewers. Murdad saying the website doesn't show anything like you described. The website's been it's been being worked on for days now by a professional. So I don't know like what you're saying, and also like you can't like see a hacking physically from the front. So anyway, Chester Williams, $5 in the super chat. Maybe ask your front end web development team to put a notice about subscription statuses on the front page of Status Coup. Couldn't hurt, right? That's a great suggestion. Yeah, I like that for sure. And also sending an email. Yeah, just making people more aware of this who aren't necessarily watching right now. Great suggestion. Maker of Things, $2 in the super chat. Is the website clean again? Yes. So Anthony, and someone was asking about his name. It's Anthony Damasco, Damasco, I believe. Vero Beach, if you want to look, it's Damasco Innovations. This is business.
I just put it in I just put the link of his company in the super chat.
Okay, cool. So the website is clean. It's been cleaned for sure. So he's been doing a great job of that. We are still, though, investigating the exact issue, trying to narrow that down. As far as like the purging. Someone was asking about Discord, because a lot of people are talking about the Discord. So Discord is open to our Status Coup members or patrons. And Discord, you can think of it like a mixture of like an old school chat room or a forum and like Slack, all mushed together. And we have so many, like we have fun chat rooms. We talk about movies and TV shows and books and whatever. We also have political discussions. We have discussions about whatever's in the news. There's a video chat area. There's a voice chat area. It's a great perk to the membership. We have behind the scenes videos. We have so much going on there. It's really worth membership on its own. So statuscoup.com/join. $5 a month.
And by the way, if you've never been a member, you can sign up brand new today. Our website is secure, and you can sign up statuscoup.com/join.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're a patron, I have sent Discord join links to all of you. If you're a member, I've sent Discord join links to all of you. If you happen to have not gotten it, maybe it went to spam, maybe you missed it, search for it or whatever, or email me, info@statuscoup.com. I'm happy to send you the link. If you've forgotten about the Discord, join us. It's fun. We're having a great time. Kevin Green, I noticed that you said this happened to me. I'm assuming you're talking about being purged. So if you can, go ahead and check and go through those steps we talked about, where you go to statuscoup.com, hover over the member tab, click subscriptions, click resubscribe. If you need help, go to or email me at info@statuscoup.com. Happy to help for sure. Happy to know more about what's going on. Someone asked, is it only U.S. members being purged? I was not purged, and I'm in Tasmania. Sorry, this is happening to Status Coup. No, it's unfortunately not just U.S. members. So we've had people abroad affected too.
And let me point out, because we've been very doom and gloom today, but there is one good thing going.
Look at that. My mic wasn't on this whole time. God, we're getting out of this. We got to use StreamYard. Could you put in the chat, people, hold on? Because they're going to start complaining. Sorry about that, folks. What I was saying is we have passed 100. We've grown 7,000 subscribers in, I think, 3 weeks. So that includes reporting on the ground before the election, from Trump rallies, on election day, obviously, the days after the election when we were in Philadelphia covering, standoffs before MAGA people and protesters that wanted the ballots to continue to be counted, and of John's coverage this past weekend at the Million Moron March, or whatever they called it, Million MAGA March. All of this has really, gotten us out there. I think we've been recommended in people's feeds more. That's been a struggle for us to show up and recommended or be recommended. So we're knocking on the door of 100,000. So it's not all bad news. So, it's both. We want to grow on YouTube, but obviously continue to grow our membership. And we believe, fingers crossed, we believe when we pass 100,000, YouTube's algorithm, just as a channel grows, I think, Jen, you know more than I, but
as the channel grows, it almost like represents to YouTube's algorithm, we should share this channel more?
Yeah, so if you think about things, when you are trying to get something, like as a company that has, like, we obviously have our own interests. We want our stuff seen more. So, but we have to think about things from YouTube's perspective. What does YouTube want? Well, they want more video views. They want more people on their website. So how do they get that? Well, they have to have good, high quality channels. How do they know which channels are high quality? Well, most likely it's the channels that have a lot of subscribers, a lot of high quality, like legitimate subscribers. So that's why they incentivize getting to 100,000 subscribers, and then like whatever the next tier is. I don't know. They also incentivize like 1 million. I think there's something in between as well. So the theory is, like, YouTube doesn't spell out everything you can do to get seen more, but the theory is that if you can get over 100,000 subscribers, that signals to YouTube that you're a channel worth showing a little bit more, at least. It's not like we'll suddenly show up on everyone's homepage, but it may give us a boost in the algorithm as a channel worth showing or pushing or recommending a bit more. So that's the hope. That's the goal.
All right.
Plus a plaque. We get a fancy plaque.
And one last thing before we go. I'm not going to do a full-on thing, but I just want to say because at the beginning of this live stream, somebody said I'm canceling because you were mean to some YouTube channels that dared to question or dared to suggest that there was election fraud and the election was stolen. I just want to say, hate to say, I told you.
The plaintiffs in 4 federal lawsuits challenging the integrity of the presidential election in Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin all filed notice Monday that they were dropping their cases. So, to those out there, not just Republicans, but some self-described progressive outlets who have been pushing that, there's been election fraud everywhere and that the ballot, hundreds of thousands of votes were switched from Trump to Biden, and then I saw some of them getting into the machines and this and that. Well, you didn't provide any evidence, and now, I fixed it. And now even Trump's lawsuits are being dropped because they have no evidence, and it was ridiculous from the start. So I'm just saying, it's cool, if outlets want to be contrarian and be more radical than us, or they think they're more radical than us by being more against the Democrats than us, that's fine. But at least have be factual. That's all we were saying. Don't push stuff without real evidence. And there was never evidence of a coordinated conspiracy or a coordinated election fraud conspiracy that tipped hundreds of thousands of votes from Trump to Biden, and now Trump's lawyers are basically dropping the cases because they don't have evidence either. So we're just putting that out there. If the truthers, even on the progressive end, want to keep pushing it, that's fine. They've already made asses of themselves. They can continue, but Trump's lawyers in 4 states today waved the flag.
Yeah, and I want to say, there's no question in my mind that there's shady stuff that goes on. We know that the bulk of the shady stuff comes from Republicans or benefits Republicans by far. The Electoral College benefits Republicans dramatically more than it impacts the Democrats. Well, then I should say it dramatically helps the Republicans more than it would ever help Democrats. It does not help Democrats. It hurts Democrats. The suppression, the closing of polling places, and I said this the other day, like, there's a lot to fight against. Like, we need to push ranked choice voting. We need to fight against corporate propaganda. Like, if you look at California, the propaganda that went into pushing Prop 22 was insane. When I got an Uber, it was the like gig worker thing. Like essentially it's gonna crush Uber and Lyft drivers, etc. And the amount of propaganda that Uber and friends put out there is absurd. And it passed. They won. These corporate assholes won. And that is interference in a way that shouldn't be allowed. This money in politics is interference. It shouldn't be allowed in the way that it exists today. But are they carrying like Santa sacks full of ballots in the middle of the night? No, they're not. Like, did Fido vote? No, Fido didn't vote. Like, did the dead guy vote? Like, they're debunking these one by one. Yeah, like dead people voted and got JFK, and like JFK is my guy, but yeah, he cheated. But in this case, they've debunked these one by one. For example, so in older generations, it's often like Mrs. like James Smith. They would go by their husband's name. So this old lady, her husband dead 12 years or something like that, she wrote down or went by her husband's name as Mrs. So-and-so. And the right wing made the case that this was the dead guy voting. No, it wasn't. And so one by one, these are getting knocked down. They just don't have any merit. Actual voter fraud is few and far between, and it's certainly not on a wide scale of fraud like they're saying. And I just, if you're talking about like the machines being shady or whatever, yeah, I do think there's a reason. Glenn Greenwald went on the Red Scare podcast, which I know I shouldn't be listening to Red Scare, but I do. And he made the great point that like as corrupt and terrible as Brazil can be and their politics can be, I don't know what their election system is like, or if it's like legit or whatever, but Glenn seems to think so, and he has certain like legit concerns against their government. He's like, they go in, they vote, they know the outcome by the end of the day. Like there's no shenanigans, it just happens, and then they just know the vote. There's a reason that voting is so insane in this country and that elections are so insane in this country. It's because it benefits the powers that be for it to be this insane. It's all about money and power, and it does keep us down. But for people to just make stuff up and just for the sake of contrarianism to like be on Team Trump about these made up allegations that like James O'Keefe is just pulling out of his ass is ridiculous.
And I want to be clear, because I think a lot of people don't get it. To me, a big issue is not only about this story, but about the way certain outlets approach any story, right? So you have to look at every story on a story-by-story basis. You can't just because, okay, we know that the Democratic Party is corrupt, that you can't just, because you know the Democratic Party, or Republicans for that matter, you can't, right out of the gate, begin at the premise, they stole it. You have to actually look at the facts in front of you. So I could say, because I've been in the field and I've covered it, that the Democratic Party did engage in election fraud in 2016, in 2020, against Bernie. I've seen it in down ballot races where voters are purged off the rolls, and it just happens to always benefit the establishment candidate and hurt the progressive candidate. So all those things could be true. Another thing that is true is voting machines are easily, in America, voting machines could be hacked. Votes could be changed. Lee Camp has done great reporting on this. The proprietary software is easily hackable. So all these things could be true. There's also been reporting on the vendors for the election software groups have ties to the Democratic Party. So it's not to say these various things aren't true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the general election between Trump and Biden because the Democratic Party is corrupt or because the Democratic Party is engaged in election fraud, that doesn't automatically mean, yeah, they stole hundreds of thousands of votes that would have went to Trump and gave it to Biden because we hate the Democratic Party. You can't just arrive basically at the conclusion you want to be true because you hate the Democratic Party. That's not journalism. That's just bullshit. That's just like Roger Stone type thought processing, if I'm making sense, Jen. You have to look right in front of you. Okay, what are the examples of election fraud? Here we have one example. Apparently a county in Michigan, votes were wrongly flipped from Trump to Biden. Now, there's two options. It was intentional or it was a machine problem. Well, the county supervisor came forward and said, yes, we've identified this, that these votes were wrongly switched, and we've switched them back to Trump. And now the other counties that used that same equipment, they were looking to make sure that the same problem didn't happen. Even if, for argument's sake, let's say it was intentional, and it was just pure mafia, they're just switching votes, right? And that happened in that Michigan county and other Michigan counties. Maybe you'd have a point. Maybe that flipped Michigan to Trump. Excuse me, to Biden. That still wouldn't give Trump the election, right? You literally have to prove that there was a coordinated conspiracy of fraud in multiple states that tipped enough votes to Biden. So then gets the question, all right, Jordan, you might be right. Maybe it doesn't prove that Trump would have won, but shouldn't you report on it if there is real election fraud? Yes, but those are two different things. You could report on, we're seeing isolated election fraud in Michigan or in Nevada or in Arizona or in Georgia. By all means, if there's smoke, look into it. But some outlets, and I've already made clear who I was talking about, I ain't gonna relitigate it, they were pushing, not that there were isolated incidents, they were pushing, this is a conspiracy, it's happening in all these states, and once it's proven, or once we prove it, the outlet proves it, Trump's gonna win. That is a whole different thing. It's disingenuous. I'm not saying they're liars, but it is misleading your audience, and it's kind of being contrarian to be contrarian. You could say election fraud is bad, whether the Democrats or the Republicans do it, so we're going to look into each isolated one, but also tell your audience, but there is no evidence that there's enough election fraud here to tip hundreds of thousands of votes. That is what I'm talking about. So we're not criticizing outlets if they're reporting or investigated in, election fraud in Michigan or in Nevada or anywhere. By all means, do it, and we have in the past. But if you're pushing a narrative that this election fraud that we're investigating in Georgia means that it's dominoes, it's all of the states, it's a conspiracy, and once it's proven, it'll totally tip the results, you're basically just doing Rudy Giuliani's work for him. There was never any evidence of that. There was never proof of that. And, I've seen these outlets trying to, I don't know if it's gaslighting or reverse psychology, to try and turn it back on us and make it seem like, oh, status quo's gone establishment. No, status quo's gone fact. We've gone facts. There's things called facts. It doesn't matter if I don't like the Democratic Party. I hate the Democratic Party. But I can't just, say, let's put it at 500,000 votes were switched to Biden because something in a Michigan county or many little isolated things. There was no evidence of that, and I think it's dangerous. I mean, I'm not surprised by the Republicans doing it, but I do think it's problematic when, independent or progressive outlets are pushing that. And thankfully, not many were. It was very isolated to just a few. Did I get anything wrong, Jen?
Yeah, no, you didn't get anything wrong, and I think to me it really is. It's an example of the Andy Ngo school of journalism, which if you guys are not familiar with Andy Ngo, he's like an alt-right figure. He lives in Portland. He's the Antifa milkshake. There's cement in my milkshake guy. They threw a vegan milkshake at him, and he turned that into, they put cement in this milkshake and threw it at me, and I'm like dying. which is not true. So what Andy Ngo does is he very selectively, even more so I would say than James O'Keefe, Andy Ngo very selectively edits his content and maliciously just purposefully does so to create a narrative. Like, it's pure propaganda. What some progressive journalists are doing right now is exactly that. They are taking things that look close enough to information, but are not in fact information. They are not information, but they can be presented as information, if you get what I'm saying. That's not okay. That is purposefully misleading one's audience. And that sort of, it's okay to get things wrong. All journalists do. You then make a correction and you think about like what you can do better next time. To know that what you're doing is wrong and that you have put out misinformation and to like quadruple down on it, that's malicious. And certainly it is attention getting when you have people who are disgruntled, who don't like Biden, and who do want that contrarian viewpoint. So I hope the clicks are worth it. And I also want to point out that this is Russiagate in a different dress. What Russiagators did was take some information that's true and completely lose their minds over it. Yes, it's true that Russia tries to interfere with our elections. We do the same to them. Is it okay? No, it's not. Yes, they like release some ridiculous, stupid memes, like with a buff Bernie, like supporting LGBTQ rights. And like they had like fake Black Lives Matter accounts that got like 20 views and stuff like that. Russia's trolls were not super effective, yet the government made it possible to believe that Trump was a Russian asset, and they had this whole Mueller thing that totally blew up in their faces. You had ask an MSNBC viewer, they're just still totally convinced. That's what they're doing now. That's what the right wing is doing now. That's what these contrarian so-called progressives are doing now. They're taking the fact that, yes, there are election shenanigans every single election. They're taking that fact, just like the Russiagators are taking the fact that Russia tries to screw with us every single time. These people are taking the fact that, yes, there are election shenanigans every single time, and they're creating this narrative that Trump has been setting up all election season. And they're running with it, and they're planning to make their bank with it.
And I also think, I just want to answer, because a few people asked, why don't you have these people on to debate? I'm not giving a platform, and I think Jen agrees with me. I'm not going to, you don't just have people on to debate if what they're arguing is not based on fact. Like,
right.
I'm not going to give a platform, which means giving them credibility, to have them on to debate when what they're pushing is fact-free. Like, I would debate, let's say, Ben Shapiro. A lot of his bullshit is fact-free, but that's ideology, right? Mm-hmm. I would gladly go on, I don't know, name your conservative. I would debate them, but they're not you could disagree ideologically, like, are tax cuts for rich people good, or is deregulation good, or should the government have a say on abortion or any of these things. That we could debate. But I'm not having people on, even if they call themselves progressives, that are just pushing a bullshit narrative and frankly have tweeted out things that I and others debunked. Like, what did they, I think Convo Couch it was, tweeted out, like, breaking news, Real Clear Politics just reversed Pennsylvania. They took away Pennsylvania from Biden. And I tweeted out, Real Clear Politics doesn't call states. It's a site that aggregates. It's a site that aggregates polls and data. Like, if they have a map of the election, they don't themselves call any states. They're just showing what others call, and I forget who it was. Somebody from Convo Couch tweeted out, breaking news, Real Clear Politics reverses, takes Pennsylvania away from Biden. Therefore, he no longer is the winner. Literally, the co-founder of Real Clear Politics came out and was like, we didn't. Like, we never even gave Pennsylvania to Biden. Because, again, they don't declare the winners of states.
Well, and also, with the make your own map page, like, you can manipulate that page.
Right, she was pushing out, it's Fiorella, who I like. I don't have a problem with her, but on this, she's wrong.
Yeah. Fiorella I consider her a friend. Like, we've hung out many times.
Yes.
So, and I love pasta too. So for all, like, anyone saying stuff, like, I love
Yeah, I don't think she's malicious. I don't think they're trying to lie. All I'm saying is she tweeted out, Pennsylvania reversed. They take it away from Biden. I pointed out, and others pointed out, you're tweeting the make your own whatever page. And the Real Clear Politics founder came out like 10 minutes later like, no, we didn't. And she still stood by it. I stand by this. Well, how do you stand by something if it's literally in front of you being debunked? I mean, to me, that's stubbornness. And that's, frankly, younger journalists can be a little stubborn. Whereas me, who's been doing this for a while, if I get something wrong, I want to correct it right away. Just because, like, the more you double down and triple down, it's kind of like that thing. It's not the cover up. It's not the mistake. It's the cover up. It's in journalism. It's not only the mistake could be bad, but trying to double down or triple down on that mistake could be worse. Because then people have to question, like, is truth your priority or is your narrative your priority? Because as a journalist, if you get something wrong, if you're truly doing it for the right reasons, your first instinct should be correct it, not to double and triple down on it. So again, and it's not just Convo Couch, by the way. I saw some other outlets pushing this election fraud. And again, bottom line, yes, there could be isolated incidents in different states. But when you then take that and compound it to this is a conspiracy and this hundreds of thousands of votes were taken from Trump and given to Biden, it's just not genuine. It's facts don't back it up. And more important, if you're a progressive journalist, to me, it's a colossal waste of time. Instead of looking and trying to push a narrative of a BS widespread election fraud conspiracy, you could be criticizing Biden on who he just appointed to his transition team. A bunch of finance people, a bunch of Uber people, Wall Street, Silicon Valley people to his transition team, who he's being rumored to put in his cabinet, which is a hall of fame of finance, Silicon Valley, and globalists. I mean, there's real things you could be reporting on right now that are critical of Biden and are critical of the Democrats. Why pushing basically like a Republican conspiracy theory? To me, I don't get it. I just don't get it. But other outlets could do what they want. But to answer the questions, no, I'm just not going to have those people on unless they can convince me that they've actually investigated this rather than just passing a bunch of bullshit crackpots off on Twitter. I don't think we should platform people that are basically not intentionally, but doing sloppy work that pushes nonsense. And if those outlets want to say, oh, you're neoliberal or you're establishment or whatever, you can say whatever you want. I think our actions and the stories we cover speak for themselves on whether we're establishment. So, it's been a long live stream. I will say one last time, we're getting a lot of emails from people who have looked at their account and have questions. We will respond as quickly as we can. It's late, so if we don't respond to you today, we'll respond tomorrow. Please, if you believe that you're a Status Coup member, if at one point you signed up for membership, go right now to statuscoup.com. That's statuscoup.com. Click on
Become a member, and then go to subscriptions. When you click on subscriptions, this should come up. When you click on subscriptions, that should come out under active. If it says yes, you're good. If it says no and you never canceled and you don't want to cancel, you want to be a member, which we hope you do because we need you, click resubscribe. If what I just showed you is not an option, if it's not showing up that way to you, email us and we'll try to troubleshoot it with you. But, you know.
Like we've been explaining this whole time, we believe as many as 300 members were wrongly purged, basically made inactive. So we got to get as many of those people back. Real quick, a couple more shout outs on GoFundMe. We've raised.
Yeah, we have some super chats to read.
GoFundMe today. Thank you, Anonymous, $35, and Solomon, $10. So we are now just $240, $240 away from another milestone of $130,000 raised. And we'll do some super shout outs too.
Woohoo. Monarch, what are you saying? Monarch's saying it's too bad Status Coup won't get on good terms with Combo Couch and vice versa. Don't start rumors, Monarch. I just told you I'm friends with Fee, and I've hung out with Pasta once. We've shared the peace pipe, Pasta and I love them. They're great. What are you talking about? They're
Well,
good people.
I will say, we separate Fiorella. I've never met Pasta, although I enjoy it.
Pasta's more like a libertarian.
Right. Nico is a propagandist. He's a liar.
Oh.
I've said it over and over.
Right.
It's a shame that so many people watch this guy. No, but I think their partners are in the network together. I don't know how it works. But yeah, Nico, we ain't cool with. Fiorella, I've only met once. She seems nice. Some of her videos I've watched, they're good. But we're not 16-year-olds, like if somebody's getting it wrong, we could say, you're getting it wrong and we're not attacking them as people. I think we all stand for the same principles and values in terms of human rights and, income equality and Medicare for all and ending the wars. I think we're all on the same team, but we could call out our own, and it's okay. I think people need to chill the fuck out. We're not attacking them, but we are saying they're wrong on this. They've put out things that are wrong. People have debunked it, including Real Clear Politics, and they still stood by it. So to me, that's stubbornness. And, I see people in the chat, well, Dominion Energy and the machines. Yes, we know about the machines. We know the machines could be hacked. We know the vendors are partisan. That's not proof. That's not evidence of a coordinated, multi-state conspiracy to toss hundreds of thousands of votes from Trump to Biden. This is, in journalism, we can't be hypocrites, right? We've been attacking MSNBC and Rachel Maddow and CNN and all these outlets for years because they're pushing a fact-free narrative on Russiagate without any evidence. You can't then turn around and push a fact-free narrative of election fraud that stole the election from Trump and gave it to Biden without facts. Isolated incidents or the fact that machines could be hacked, that's not evidence that this particular election was stolen or that there is enough incidents in multiple states that those incidents or those issues would have swung the election. Sorry. And for people to continue pushing it, they're not actually interested in looking at this particular election. They're interested in pushing an overall narrative. And that's not journalism. Sorry.
Okay, so super duper chats. You guys have been so great. Comrade Rick, you have a special place in my heart tonight because you are going to allow me to talk about one of my favorite topics. Comrade Rick, $2 in the super chat. Thoughts on Michael Tracy getting retweeted by Donald Trump?
Good God.
I
created that monster, by the way. I don't know if people know the story, but I'll tell that later.
All right, I'll go first, then you tell your story, which is a good story. You've totally created Frankenstein's monster. You're Frankenstein. So, first of all, Michael Tracy getting retweeted by Donald Trump is not at all a surprise. I am sure it's like the most exciting thing that has ever happened to Michael Tracy. Michael Tracy is, without a doubt, in my mind, like the definition of an incel. So for like Donald Trump, like that is the height of Michael Tracy's excitement. Is like Donald Trump has retweeted me. This is fantastic. Michael Tracy has been going off into alt-right land for a long time now. Like when you go to Twitter and they give you suggested followers based on being on Michael Tracy's page, which I do to like entertain myself. I go to his page. It's all right-wing people. Like it's crazy. It's all right people. So that was really something, but it's a badge of honor for him. He loves it. But before I hand this over to Jordan to finish up, I want to say my favorite suggestion for people who need an uplifting time in their lives is Google Ann Coulter book signing Michael Tracy. You will get the pure joy of hearing Michael Tracy scream like a little girl while trying, because he's being arrested after trying to get Ann Coulter's signature. It's great. It's great. He screams. Love it.
And the real quick story is TYT was doing a $2 million fundraiser off of my name, by the way. They were using my reporting to raise $2 million to hire reporters in air quotes. They then raised the money and fired all the reporters in a year, but nobody seems to care about that. But, Cenk wasn't, I guess, big on process or preparation per se, or the interview process. So on the eve of Trump's inauguration, I was in D.C. for the Young Turks. I was going to be reporting for the Young Turks on Inauguration Day, and he called me on the eve of Trump's inauguration and was like, "Hey, we're about to hit $1 million raised, so I got to hire a new reporter. You have any suggestions?" Because they were hiring a new reporter for every $500,000 raised. So I gave him a list of names, and I just said, I don't know what his work is. I've never read like an article by him. I've never seen him interview anybody, but I think his tweets are interesting. I mean, this is years ago when Michael Tracy wasn't tweeting far right, defending Nazis' rights to march and all this. I mean, years ago, his tweets are actually legitimately contrarian and interesting. So I said to Cenk, I don't know, I think this guy's tweets are interesting to me. He doesn't seem to be like all progressive or all conservative. He seems to be somewhere non-categorized. And Cenk literally announced him the next day. And from what I was told, Cenk didn't even interview him. Like somebody else interviewed him after I said I like his tweets. So this is where your money. If you donated $2 million to the Young Turks, they basically looked through some guy's tweets, called him, and hired him the next day. That's where your money went.
Which is bizarre.
Yeah.
That's just an insane way to hire
But I do
anybody.
take responsibility because I thought his tweets were funny at the time, and maybe they wouldn't have hired him if I didn't suggest look at his tweets. So what are you gonna do?
To be fair, like I have this very specific Twitter list. I love Twitter lists because they really help me like aggregate the people and the content I want. So I have this very specific list that I check most frequently. It's called Progressive Voices. And I had at that time, I had Michael Tracy in my Progressive Voices list. So he made sense back then. Like he should have been more thoroughly vetted by Cenk, certainly. But I had him on that list back then. He wasn't like this then.
Yes. All right. We've
people. Hold on. Let me double check. Livon Huey, $4.99 in the super chat. I had to skip the ads. I don't have time for music videos. I hate when YouTube does that. Hopefully the $4.99 helps. It absolutely does, Livon. Thank you. Murdad Dalmi saying, error, you have a problem with one or more of your subscriptions. To prevent any lapses in your subscription, please visit the subscriptions page. Murdad, email us at info@statuscoup.com. We'll definitely help you out. FP, $20 in the super chat. Thank you. Okay, I think we're all caught up.
And thank you to Anonymous, $10 in the GoFundMe. So, wow, we finished GoFundMe. Maybe if there's an amazing one or two people out there, we're $230 away from $130,000 raised. So, thank you to everyone who donated. Maybe we can get a couple more tonight to get to that 130,000 mark.
And yeah, we will try to respond to your emails because I see a bunch of them now from people who are seeing that they're inactive but didn't actually cancel. So we will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. And definitely email us at info@statuscoup.com if you go checking to see if you're still active and for whatever reason have a problem. And again, you could do that by going to statuscoup.com, hover over become a member, click on subscriptions right there, and once you click on subscriptions, you should see either a yes under active or a no. And if you see a no, you should see resubscribe. I say should because that's what we think is going to happen. But if for whatever reason it's not seamless like that, email us, info@statuscoup.com. We definitely want to see. We definitely want
to see more people realizing that they were incorrectly made inactive and getting them signed back up and active. Thank you for watching.
Oh, Louise Brooks, thank you. $5 in super chat. Adore you both. Loved the reporting from DC this weekend. Yeah, John did an amazing job. Check him out on Ron Placone from today.
All right, folks. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.